这个星期，洋基队是来到了芝加哥白袜队的主场进行4连战。今天是进行到了第3场比赛，将要由我国的投手王建民来担任先发。而在前2天的比赛当中，其实在芝加哥的天气方面不太好，都是有阴雨的情况。但今天我们看到阳光普照，这场比赛大家可以来好好欣赏王建民今年第2度来先发出战到白袜。
对，王建民在上个月份呢，曾经在这个主场主投过一场比赛，就那场比赛投得非常出色，7局只被打6支安打，只失掉了1分的自责分。那场比赛他是拿下了胜投。
那在今天这场比赛呢，王建民要来挑战第5胜。那同时呢，在整个民视的部分呢，也会在王建民如果今天拿下第5胜的话，在我们的抽奖活动也会送出汽车的大奖哦。敬请所有的观众呢持续的来等待。那我们看到的在前一场比赛当中，洋基队的第1棒 Johnny Damon 发挥了火车头的作用。他昨天呢，个人单场击出了3支安打，带领洋基队打出今年球季单场最多的17支安打，打败了白袜队。
对，一点都没错，他是洋基队的攻势的一个开路先锋。只要他能够经常上垒的话，就带给洋基队非常好的一个得分的机会。所以他昨天5个打数3支安打，包括1支2垒安打，也跑回来得到1分。所以他昨天优异的表现，造成了洋基队昨天可以说是轻松获胜。
对，那另外昨天洋基队的菜鸟投手呢 ，Tyler Clipper 投了5局，只掉1分，拿下了第3胜，整个胜投已经追上了 Pettis。另外呢，昨天洋基的火线是大爆发。
对，昨天总共击出17支安打，是今年球季洋基队在单场比赛击出安打数最多的一场比赛。那当然使得洋基队这个得分就显得非常的轻松了。事实上，昨天是以7比3获胜，17支安打得7分，好像稍微还显少了一点。
对，那这当中也包括。另外也击出单场3支安打，以及包含了这一发个人今年球季第21号全垒打的，就是 Alex Rodriguez。
对，这个全垒打好像都是蛮好看，但事实上这支全垒打跟胜败是毫无关系。他到第9局出现是一点锦上添花的作用，但事实上前面2支安打分别是1支2垒安打跟1垒安打，各带了1分打点，那2分打点才是最重要的。
我们看到 Aaron 呢，自从1956年的 Mickey Mantle 之后呢，他是在投56场比赛。就已经得到50分以及50分以上的打点。
对，可见他是非常全能的一位选手。当然，昨天那个全垒打是他21支全垒打，现阶段还是在所有大联盟，包括国家联盟在内全垒打数是最多的选手。
那今年当然，今天这场比赛，当然王建民要先发出战到白袜队，洋基队寄望他能够以好的表现呢，带领球队拿下一个这个连胜的一个战绩。我们看到这是王建民在上一场比赛，他先发出战到。红袜队虽然只投了5又3分之2局，但对红袜能够拿出这样的优质的内容已经不容易了。
对，面对压力非常大的一场比赛，又是3连战的第1场比赛，他在前3局就用了74球，而且多次在每一个半局都逃过危机，能够顶得住，所以最后他拿到了最后的胜利。所以从王建民今天开始，他未来的4场洋基队先发，这就是洋基队寄望有个连胜的出现，因为昨天。Tyler Clipper 获得了胜利了。那今天如果王建民能够持续这个胜场的气势，那明天是 Matsui， 后天是 Impeded， 再来就是 Roger Clemens 要上场。如果这几位先发投手都可以带给洋基队胜利的话，那整个气势就打出来了。
对，所以今天呢，王建民呢，在球队昨天赢球的情况之下，又是身为阵中现在第1号的王牌投手，当然。他必须要带领球队呢拿下一个连胜的战绩，帮助拿下胜投的话，其实队友的打线是蛮重要。像昨天 Clipper 就是在洋基队的打线掩护之下拿下了第3胜。
对 ，Clipper 虽然是先掉了1分呢，但是到了第5局这个洋基队就给他给追平了，而且到了第6局是打击大爆发，在1比1平手的情况下，先是这个 Abreu 击出安打带了打点，然后这就是 Abreu 击出来的带着1分打点的2垒安打，不但造成了3比2分的超前，而且呢。使得这个半局变成大局的可能性大增，然后最后是在松井秀喜的这个安打之下，再带着这场比赛的第5分得到，所以就活生生的使那个半局变成了个大局，造成了洋基队最后是顺利的获胜。
好，那我们进入到今天这一场洋基跟白袜4连战的第3场比赛，将要由我国的投手王建民来担任先发。
The White Sox have taken the field. Javier Vasquez taking his warm-ups, and we're taking a look at the Yankees starting lineup presented by Rico. If you kept score last night, you don't have to change a thing. Everything is exactly the same. Johnny Damon, the DH, will lead off. Derek Jeter, the shortstop, and the captain will bat second. Batting third and playing right field, Bobby Abreu. Alex Rodriguez at third base will clean up. Jorge Posada catches, bats fifth. Batting sixth and playing left field, Hideki Matsui. Robinson Cano boys, he heating up. At second base will bat seventh. Batting eighth and playing center field, Melky Cabrera. And Miguel Cairo did such a good job last night. They're starting him 2 times in a row. He's the first baseman, and he's going to bat ninth. Let's take a look at the numbers at Javier Vasquez. His 11th start this year. He's 3-3 with a 3.95, well less than a hit per inning, and the strikeout to walk ratio is outstanding. Good numbers to start the season for Vasquez.
And the Land Rover pitcher scouting report, Javier Vasquez, he's an innings eater. Since 2000, only Levon Hernandez, Greg Maddux, and Tim Hudson have more innings. Last August, last September were great months, and so was April for Javier Vasquez. He was 3-0 with a 2.8 in April. Well, he went a little astray in May. He was 0-3 with an earned run average over 5. And he's been very stingy with runners in scoring position. Opponents are only hitting .203 off him.
Little quirk here in Chicago. They start all their games at night at 7-Eleven because the convenience store sponsors the start of the game. And the pitch is outside, but on the corner to Johnny Damon, 0-1. Might be an inconvenient start time, but the convenience store sponsors it, so that's why they started at 7-Eleven. The 0-1 is squibbed the other way, inside third, and a base hit for Damon. It's going to be extra bases as Damon hustles into second. He makes a big turn. He's going to stop right there as a fan touches the ball. So Johnny Damon, 3 hits yesterday, and he was the igniter for the 17-hit attack. Starts off this game with a double.
Seems this DH role is fitting Johnny Damon pretty well. And Paul, we talked about how he can get some interesting hits, and this is one of them. It's a little cutter inside to him. He gets jammed. And they always talk about good hitters get jammed because you don't want to be too far out front. You have a chance when you get jammed, and he squibs it by the new third baseman.
Well, Johnny Damon, I mean, young in his career when he was really, really fast, I mean, his big thing was to put the ball in play and try to beat out infield hits, and he hasn't strayed far from it. I mean, he'll drive a ball out of the park now and then, but he still stays within himself, stays up the middle, stays away. He's not going to strike out a lot.
Here's Derek Jeter. He broke an 0 for 13 yesterday with a bunt single and then had a double down the right field line after that. You know he wants to hit the ball to the right side this time, and the count 1-0.
Well, the new third baseman for the White Sox is Josh Fields, who was a star quarterback at Oklahoma State. They've talked about he has to get away from that football mentality a little bit, and Joe Crede is on the DL with back problems, and Josh Fields was rated their best power hitter in their minor leagues.
Driven the other way, giving chase is Dye into the corner, and it's a foul ball. Now you saw that young man leaving the ballpark, and the reason is he reached over and touched the ball in play, so he came out to the game and he lasted one batter, and he's going to have to eat that bag lunch outside of U.S. Cellular.
That just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, it's not very friendly. I mean, your natural reaction as a fan when the ball comes is to try to grab it. I mean, it's a ground rule double. Or...
Yeah, but you can't. I mean, he might have gotten a triple.
You know the difference, though, in New York, they rough them up a little bit and put them back in their seat. Here they make them leave the ballpark. You know, I'd rather take a beating and at least get to watch the game.
Ah, that's beautiful, Paul.
Wow.
Count 1 and 2.
You know, I think possibly what they should do is that maybe you just change their seats. You know, you don't want him to interfere. The guy paid a lot of money for that ticket, and like Paul said, it's his natural reaction. Maybe just put him in the upper deck and let him watch the game from there.
But in fairness to the teams, they do issue that warning before the game that you cannot interfere with the ball in play.
Well, let me ask you, what are you going to do?
I follow orders. I would not reach over and touch the ball. Did he go around? Yes, he did. So Jeter down on strikes.
It's just a little slider from Javier Vasquez. It's just off the plate, and Derek Jeter is not able to check his swing, and he gets rung up by home plate umpire Larry Poncino.
You know, Michael, I've always been partial to fans ever since that little kid reached over the wall in the playoffs for us.
I mean, little Jeffrey Mayer?
Yeah, Jeffrey Mayer. I knew
Who's now a college graduate?
Yeah, that's right. Part of the game, isn't it?
He played baseball in college, and it was Derek Jeter who hit that ball, ironically enough. But now he's trying to get a job in baseball, from what I've heard. I don't think the Orioles are too fond of that young man.
What about the guy here, though, with the Cubs?
Oh, yeah.
The guy that reached over the wall and left
Steve
field.
Bartman.
He ended up moving out of town. I mean, he had to change his address. And
that was sad because that ball was kind of in the stands that he made the play on. The 1-0. There's a strike. The count 1-1.
Vasquez is a pitcher that, as a hitter, you go up there and he'll use 3 or 4 different pitches. You don't sink. I mean, he's got a good sinker, he's got a good slider, he's got a good changeup. So you don't really sit on one pitch. I mean, he's a guy that you go up there and basically you have to see the ball.
And the count 2-1.
you see he's trying to cut that ball into Bobby Abreu, and you talked about how difficult of a pitch that is to hit. When you see it, you think it's inside. It's a ball that's a strike that you can hit, and all of a sudden at the last minute it breaks inside off the plate. Usually a lot of times what they're trying to do is trying to speed you up so they can throw you a slow changeup away from you.
And the count 2-2.
What you saw, I mean, right there is what I think Greg Maddux brought into the game. I mean, he used to throw that cutter in, and then all of a sudden throw that sinker on the inside corner, and it would run back out over the plate. And that was, it's a different style of pitching. It's a hard way to pitch. You have to be perfect in order to pitch that way.
Here's the 2-2. He strikes him out. High fastball. 2 strikeouts in a row for Vasquez.
Well, actually, he's missing his spot by a long ways. He's trying to go inside, and these balls are ending up on the other side of home plate. But because they're up and they have run to it, it's hard to catch up to them, and it's hard to put them in play.
You know, he missed on the last 2 pitches, but the pitches before, the cutters that he actually got on the inside corner, those set up a lot of the outside part of the plate. And you saw Bobby Abreu starting to, you know, open that front shoulder a little bit, almost feel for that ball inside.
Here's Alex Rodriguez. And the pitch is high. Rodriguez with a 9th inning home run yesterday, his 21st. Prince Fielder of the Brewers had a home run today, so they are tied for the major league lead with 21. Brewers actually lost that game to the Cubs today 6-2, so the Cubs have taken 2 out of 3 from Milwaukee. Both of those wins without Lou Piniella. Alan Trammell filling in for Piniella, who's suspended for 4 games.
You know, it's
2-0.
It's amazing, you know, how funny this game is. Javier Vasquez has not hit a spot yet. And he's got 2 outs. He's got 2 strikeouts. The thing that he's doing is he's missing up and away, and the hitters are swinging at it. And it looks like a good pitch, and then all of a sudden it runs out of the zones. And I've always thought if you're a pitcher and you're going to miss, you might as well miss by a long ways, not by a little bit, because the ones you miss a little bit, those are the ones that get hammered.
Thing is, though, also, even, I mean, that pitch ends up in the middle of the plate, but it has a lot of movement on it. And movement is so important. I mean, we've talked about it over and over again. It's not always location if you have great movement. And that ball just continues to run, and it ends up, you know, on the inner half of the plate. But, I mean, it ran 6-8 inches.
And the 2-1. He got some giddy up on the fastball, so even if he's missing spot, it's moving, and the count 2-2.
I think the one thing that you have to respect about Javier Vasquez is he's got a great change. He's got a pretty good curveball. So sometimes as a hitter, you can get in the middle where you might be looking for something off speed, and all of a sudden that fastball looks a lot harder and you're late.
Yanks have taken 8 swings against Vasquez, and they put just 1 ball in play. The 2-2. He struck him out, and Vasquez strikes out the side. The Yankees waste a leadoff double by Damon. Jeter strikes out. Abreu strikes out. A-Rod strikes out. No runs a hit. 1 man left. Yankees nothing. White Sox coming to bat. Look at the Yankees task. And the White Sox starting lineup, which is presented by Rico. Jerry Owens, the center fielder, will lead off. Batting second and playing second, Tadahito Iguchi. He has been on fire the last 5 games. Jim Thome, the DH, will hit third. Cleaning up, play right field, Jermaine Dye. A.J. Przinsky will catch. He'll bat fifth. Batting sixth and playing first base, Paul Konerko. Rob Makoviak is in left field, batting seventh. Batting eighth, the rookie third baseman, Josh Fields. And Juan Uribe, the shortstop, will bat ninth. Here are the numbers on Chien-Ming Wang. This will be his 9th start. He's 4-4, so he's got a decision in each game. And more hits than innings pitched, and that's what he's going to do. They put the ball in play. 25 strikeouts, 14 walks. The walks, that's a good total.
You look at the Land Rover pitcher scouting report. The opponents have had a homer drought. He has not given a home run since May 5th when Ben Broussard broke up his perfect game bid. He makes you earn it. He has not given up an unearned run in his last 32 starts, so the defense behind him is very good. And this is the month that he really starts to take off. In April and May, his career ERA is over 4. The rest of the year, it's under 4. And sometimes, in some of those months, it's under 3. So this is when he seems to really heat up.
Here's Jerry Owens to lead off against Chien-Ming Wang. And the pitch is a strike. Owens is 1 for his last 16. And he needs to get on base to be valuable to this team because he can run. And the count 1-1.
Well, the White Sox got some good news today. They did an MRI on Scott Posednik's abductor, and it is healed enough to where he's going to go out on rehab. And it looks like Darren Erstad is getting close to being ready too. And they envision those two at the top of the lineup, giving them some speed in front of Jim Thome, and they may not be too far away.
Now today they put Joe Crede on the DL. His back has been bothering him, so they sat him down for 15 days. And Ozzie Guillen, the manager, said, "I'd rather have him on the DL for 15 days than lose him for 4 or 5 months."
Ozzie also talked about he might have to start thinking about surgery because you start to worry about the quality of your life. And next year is the year after next year is the year that he can become a free agent. So I think for Joe Crede, he has to get his back right so he can play the way that he's accustomed to playing. I mean, he was the Silver Slugger winner last year at third base, had 30 home runs, and he's just not healthy.
And he had the option during the offseason of having the back surgery last offseason. Decided to try to rehab it. That one sliced the other way, and it'll be foul. It's tough to decide, yeah, I'm going to go under the knife, especially for back surgery. And Crede elected not to have it, and it looks as if the rehab didn't take, and he spoke yesterday about how he's going to have to consider it strongly.
Well, he plays such a tough position to have a back problem because he's diving all the time. He's making those tough throws on those slow rollers, and his back just gets twisted around a lot, and it's tough. And when you're hitting, that's when it really seems to bother you.
That one's chopped right side. Nice play by Cairo, and Chien-Ming Wang beats Owens to the bag. 1 away. Cairo's done nothing wrong at first base so far.
I'll tell you, he's putting a clinic on him here. He's turned double plays, and this is not an easy play. I mean, this is an in-between hop, a guy who's got a lot of speed, and if you don't come up with it cleanly, he's going to be safe. I don't realize on TV how much topspin that ball has right there. I mean, if that ball doesn't go in his glove cleanly, it's coming right out.
Wang off the mound quickly, and a good feed by Miguel Cairo. Here's Tadahito Iguchi, who has a 7-game hitting streak. And there's a ground ball up the middle. Jeter to the glove side. 2 away.
I was just getting ready to say I think the Yankees have to adjust their plan on Iguchi a little bit. He loves the ball out over the plate. I think this is a great matchup for Chien-Ming Wang against Iguchi because he likes the ball over the plate. He can run his sinker in on him all day and should get a lot of ground balls.
IO Digital Cable is the exclusive official HD sponsor for Yankees telecast on Yes. Here's Jim Thome, pitch low. Now before the game, about 2 hours before the game, Jim Thome taking some ground balls at first base. Maybe Ozzie Guillen thinking about sitting Konerko out against some right-handers and wants to get Thome some time there. He's a first baseman by trade, but with Konerko, who's a good defender at first. He is the exclusive DH here with the White Sox.
Well, there's some interleague play coming up, and they're going to go to some National League ballparks. And let me throw another scenario out at you, Michael. Paul Konerko has played some third base too, and if Josh Fields is not playing well and not hitting, it might be a situation in those games where they put Konerko at third base as well.
Ozzie Guillen and his bench coach Joey Cora. And Tomei serves that one into left field. Matsui's there, and a 1-2-3 inning for Chien-Ming Wang. 10-pitch first inning for Wang, so working economically. We've played one here at U.S. Cellular Field. There's no score as we head to the second on Yes.
Talked about how stingy Javier Vasquez once runners get in scoring position. He expands his zone with a slider on Jeter, a fastball up and away from Abreu, and then a fastball up and in on Alex Rodriguez, and he struck out the side.
And there's no score as we head to the second. Jorge Posada will lead off. And Posada 0 for 6 against Vasquez in his career. 0 for 3 before being his teammate, and 0 for 3 since then. You think a catcher who catches a pitcher, is that an advantage when he faces that pitcher?
I don't think so, because sometimes you can overthink. You've called so many pitches for him, you might think you know exactly what he's going to throw in that situation. He might throw something else. So I just think you match up against certain pitchers better than others.
It'll be Posada, Matsui, and Cano here in the second inning. It was a beautiful day here in Chicago, but the buzz around this city today is what happened at Butler National Golf Course.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the word is that Paul O'Neill had one of the worst golf rounds of all time.
Not one of them. It was the worst.
Now, rumor is that you actually considered quitting the game for good.
You know what? If I didn't have to pay for golf memberships and I could get the money back, I might have quit today.
That's how bad it was.
It was terrible. Ed Farmer was great to take me out as a White Sox radio announcer. He told me to just get in the cart one hole. He said, "You've had enough. Just get in the cart."
You know, I asked Paul, I said, "What'd you shoot?" Because, you know, he's a pretty good golfer.
Yeah.
You know, I usually shoot in the 80s, right? Sometimes in the 70s.
Yeah.
You know? He
is.
Yeah, Ed was probably laughing at you, saying, "Yeah, good golfer." Yeah, right.
Terrible.
But Paul said, "Well, I picked up on a lot of holes, so I got no idea."
4 strikeouts in a row for Vasquez as Posada goes down on strikes. Yankees baseball is broadcast in Spanish. It's available by hitting the SAP button on your television. SAP is brought to you by Toyota, a smart way to keep moving forward. Are we talking about a triple-digit score?
No, but you know what? I was knocking on the door.
Really?
I gave away a lot of shots. How's that?
Okay.
You know, you used to talk about giving away at bats and how much that chapped you.
It just, you know, it's such a shame because Michael, you said it was a beautiful day,
right?
Beautiful golf course. You've never played before. You just go out and waste it. You're just waffling balls all over the place. It just didn't end up the way I'd planned.
Did you bring your own clubs?
I did.
So that's no excuse then.
You know what? It got so bad that I was like hitting cicada bugs off the tees. That was the only thing I had left. I was out of balls. I mean, they're having the cicada epidemic here. if everybody in New York does. Do you have cicadas in New York?
I don't think so.
There's these strange bugs that come out every, 17 years?
17 years.
Like that. You know about their life.
They've got a very strange life.
Well, yeah, they come out of the ground every 17 years and they chase after what they're supposed to do in life, and then they die. They
mate and die.
Yeah.
Right. I think I'd stay in the ground.
That'd be a long courtship, I tell you.
Check swing. Did he go? No, he did not. Yeah, this is actually cicada night. Now these, I guess those are cicada mascots here. There's so many lines that you just can't say, so we'll just let it go. And the 3-1 to Matsui, and he walked it. The upcoming schedule brought to you by J&R Music World. One more game against the White Sox, 8 o'clock tomorrow. 7 o'clock is the batting practice show. Then the Pirates come into town Friday on My 9, Andy Pettit. Saturday on Yes at 1, and that's Roger Clemens' relaunch. And then Sunday also at 1, and that's on Yes as well. Here's Robinson Cano. And there's a strike. Home plate umpire is Larry Poncino. And let's look at all four. Bruce Dreckman's at first, Gary Darling at second, and Jerry Meals is over at third.
Joe, it's been well documented that I didn't get along with a lot of umpires. That's just the way it was. I mean, did you have guys as a catcher that you went back there and as soon as you walked out for the game, you're like, oh, not tonight?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I won't mention any names, but I used to tell the catching coach in Chicago that if there was a certain umpire behind home plate that you probably shouldn't put me in there because I wasn't going to make it through the game. But I mean, sometimes you just don't mix. I mean, that's the way personalities are. I mean, not that I may have got tossed, you know, 2 or 3 times by this umpire, and we worked together a lot more than that. But sometimes you just didn't get along.
I can't picture you getting thrown out as a player.
I have a side to me, Michael, that, you know, as a player, I get a little bit over competitive.
But I can't picture you saying the magic word.
Well, all you have to say is you. That's
really?
All you have to say is you this, you that, and that'll usually get you tossed.
Really?
Yes.
You stink usually does.
That'll do it.
The 1-2 upstairs, 2-2. And who was your least favorite umpire, Paul?
Well, we don't have enough fingers.
let me ruffle through a few of these pages. No, the guys that were consistent, I didn't have a problem with. The guys that just, depending on the game situation, the plate might change. Those are the guys that bugged me because there was no rhyme or reason why they called certain pitches at certain times.
Now, as you listeners could tell, both of these guys are playing their cards close to the vest. They might end up in the dugout again one day, and they don't want to really alienate these umpires they hate.
Well, I think what happens as a player, you become emotional. And sometimes if you could take the emotions out of your at bat or you're catching a ball game, you probably wouldn't get tossed. And it's, you know, I really never had a problem with getting tossed because when I did get tossed, I usually deserved it. And, you know, it's just you get emotional back there because you're playing for something.
That one is chopped over Vasquez. Good play there by Matsui. Let's see if they double him up. No. So he stayed out of the double play by stopping dead and not letting Iguchi tag him. So Cano is out on the 4-3, and Matsui advances on the fielder's choice.
Iguchi did the right thing. I mean, he set up the team for a double play. The only thing is he didn't get Matsui going back to first base enough, and he's, you know, he didn't make him turn his back where it would have been an easy play to get him at second.
Now, is that the right thing though? Because he stopped dead. Don't you want the runner at second? Don't you want to keep him off second? He could have flipped to second to get the force.
Well, I think his plan was to get the double play just a little different way. It just didn't work out, and you know, he went for the double play. And to me, you know, hindsight is 20/20, obviously, but I still think he made the right play. But I think he didn't get Matsui running back hard, like Paul said.
Vasquez, I don't know if it's intentionally or what, but he has been up with everything.
He's wild, and he's getting away with it because he's so wild and he's so up in the zone.
Don Cooper, the pitching coach for the White Sox, a little concerned about the strike zone moving on Vasquez, so the count now 0-2. Tonight's closed captioning is brought to you by your New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut Lexus dealers. When the White Sox won in 2005, he got a lot of props for the way he handled the pitching staff.
Did, because their pitching staff dominated the whole year. They dominated the playoffs. Their starters were outstanding, and all they had to do was basically then just turn it over to their closer, James.
The 0-2?
We were talking about umpires, though, but, you know, you're going to get tossed, you know, maybe a handful of times in, you know, a 15-year career. But I can tell you, from a catcher stand, most of the time you have a lot of fun back there with them. I mean, you can joke with them and you can talk and you have discussions about. Sometimes it doesn't have anything to do about baseball. It might be about something you ate, you know, dinner that you're going to go to. So it can be a lot of fun for a catcher. You're never bored back there because you always got someone to talk to, opposed to standing in the outfield where you talk to yourself.
I can honestly tell you, I never had a conversation with an umpire about eating dinner somewhere.
Well, you're never back there long enough. I mean, if you sit back there an hour and a half a night, I mean, you got to talk about something.
I guess every once in a while I said, go ahead, go to dinner, get the heck out of here. But I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I might have got thrown out of what, 5 or 6 games my whole career. So it's not like you're constantly just going over the edge, and you know the rules.
That one's popped to Josh Fields in foul territory. He'll put it away for the final out of the second. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 man left. We go to the bottom of the second. There's no score here at the cell. Bud Selig, the commissioner, has announced today that he has asked Giambi to meet with Senator George Mitchell within the next 2 weeks and to cooperate fully in Senator Mitchell's investigation into the use of illegal performance-enhancing substances in baseball. Now, discipline will be determined after Giambi has completed activities with Senator Mitchell. Commissioner Selig will then take into account Giambi's level of cooperation with the investigation. Now, Giambi is being considered for discipline because of the comments that he made in USA Today, where he admitted to doing that stuff, never being specific about it. And now it seems that the commissioner's office is telling him, if you cooperate with Mitchell, and a lot of players have not been cooperating with Mitchell, then maybe we'll cut you a break on any discipline for what you said in USA Today. A lot of the players that Kim Jones spoke to during the pregame show were kind of upset at it. Mike Myers said it's a joke. It almost seems like a quid pro quo. If you talk to them, we're not going to discipline you. If you don't, we might. So that's where it stands right now. Giambi is obviously not here, so we can't get his reaction on it. Count 1-1 as we are in the bottom of the second. Jermaine Dye is at the plate. It's certainly a hard thing to put your arms around, because it doesn't seem like many people are cooperating with Mitchell. They don't have a hammer to make people talk, and maybe they think that the thing hanging over Giambi's head could be used as a hammer to make him talk. That one's popped up. Cairo back, and in foul territory, he'll put it away.
Obviously, you know, I'm sure Bud Selig or someone from the commissioner's office talked to Jason Giambi and his agent. I just don't like how the press release sounds, as it's, you know, if you don't talk, we're threatening you. I just don't like the way that sounds. And I know they've spent a lot of money in this investigation, and sometimes you wonder if that money could have been better spent maybe in different drug tests and different ideas opposed to this investigation.
Right now, the total for this investigation is approximately $30 million. There's a ground ball at Cairo off the bat of Przinski, and there's 2 away.
You know, the one thing that comes to mind, though, I mean, are we going to look back 10 years, 20 years from now and say that, you know, this was a dirty era of baseball? Because, I mean, Joe was part of it. I was part of it. And I hope it's not looked at, because there's some great players out there that are the farthest thing from being into this stuff. So, you know, I hope that the whole game is not stereotyped as this era, you know, that these guys were doing that. And you look at A-Rod, there's a guy right there that has never, ever been mentioned in those investigations and can hit a baseball as far as anybody that's ever played the game.
And Urco fouls it off.
And I think it's sad, too, you know, if someone has a big year, you know, people speculate, you know, and there are just great players like A-Rod that are, A-Rod's got a great swing, and he has perfected it, and he's got a ton of power. And it's just sad that anytime someone has a big year, or if they have a big drop off in a year, and Joe Torre will tell you, he hit 360 one year and hit 260 the next year, and he was the same guy. Things just didn't work out. But it's sad because people look at players different today.
I just wonder what the end game of the investigation is. I mean, what are they trying to accomplish? Okay, these are the guys, or these are the names that we have. And just knowing Jason Giambi in the years that he's been here, If they're expecting him to flip and give people names, I just don't see it happening. I just don't see him doing that.
Well, Michael, you got your finger on the pulse because of your talk radio. I mean, what do the fans want out of this? Do they want names? Do they want numbers? Do they want to just get on with it?
I think they just want to get on with it. I don't think that they care as much as the people that are running baseball. I think that what baseball's doing right now is very smart. Clean up the sport. But in terms of finding out what happened in the past, you can't change it anyway. And a lot of the guys that might have done it, they might be retired now anyway. I just don't understand what the end game is. And what are they trying to accomplish? Are they trying to stain an entire era? I'm not quite sure. Pitches outside. You know, for the people that did it and they knew it was wrong, shame on them. Shame on them, and they have to live with that embarrassment. And if their names come out, that's what it's going to be. They'll have a scarlet letter. That's it. What else is baseball going to do to them? I just don't know how this is going to turn out, and I don't see what the accomplishment is. It's interesting if they spend $30 million and the only guy that they get to talk is Jason Giambi, and $30 million of investigation money, and that's what they come out. Jason Giambi once used steroids. Wow, that's unbelievable. Well, that's money well spent. We'll see.
Yeah. You know, and every time something like this comes up, it just, you're not focusing on all the good that is in this game. I mean, there's so much good in the game of baseball. What players do for communities, what players do for charities, how involved, you know, they're in this or that, or just watching great players. And it's unfortunate that this steroid era, or whatever you want to call it, has tainted the game, and we don't look at all the good things that players are doing.
And I love what Selig's doing, trying to clean up the game. I think that's great. But looking back and trying to dredge up dirt, I don't know what it accomplishes. There's a ground ball to second base. Robinson Cano is there. And Chien-Ming Wang has worked a 1-2-3 inning. He's retired all 6 White Sox that he's faced, and he's done it on 21 pitches. Economical, absolutely. We go to the third. Hey, tomorrow's starting pitchers are brought to you by Verizon Fios. Make the switch to Verizon Fios, TV, internet, phone. Mike Messina tried to straighten out his recent problems. 6.25 ERA against former Yankee Jose Contreras. 4-5, 4.29. 7 o'clock batting practice. 7:30 pregame and 8:11 first pitch. We go to the third inning. On the Coors Light scoreboard, there's no score. Johnny Damon led off with a double. Since then, every single batter in the game has been retired. And the number 9 hitter is Miguel Cairo.
I really believe at some point Miguel Cairo is going to test this young third baseman in Josh Fields. And they had talked about moving him to left field because of Joe Crede, and they like his bat. They like the power potential. Once Joe Crede's back started acting up, they kept him there, and they said he's a little rough around the edges.
Cairo fouls it away. Matsui did walk in the second, so no other hitter has reached base via a base hit. Now, one thing that the White Sox get, they get quality starts from their starters. They've had 30 of them this year. That's 4th in the American League. The Angels are first with 38. Oakland has 36 and Cleveland 33. 1-2. That one is looped to shallow right. It's a base hit for Cairo. 2 hits yesterday, and he leads off the third with a single today. Cairo doesn't want to leave the lineup.
Well, no, I mean, when you get a chance to play and you get a couple hits, the manager's usually going to stick with you. They're going to stick with the guys that are hot. And the one thing about Miguel Cairo, I remember catching against him. He was a pest, you know, maybe call him a cicada, whatever you want to call him. They were tough at bats. He would foul off a lot of pitches and not always get a hit, but he always seemed to find a way to put the ball in play. And it used to irritate me back there behind the plate.
He used to hit with a split grip. You remember him?
Yeah.
The Ty Cobb grip. And since then, I think it's pretty much gone.
There he goes. And the ball is bobbled by Przinsky. So a stolen base for Cairo.
And that's just smart baseball by Miguel Cairo, because now A.J. Przinsky is 2 out of 26 and throwing opposing base runners out. And that's the kind of thing that Miguel Cairo knows. He knows who can throw around the league. And it's a tough pitch to handle because it's inside, and that's, you know, you have to move your feet and clear the hitter, and that's probably the toughest pitch for a catcher to throw when there's a left-handed hitter hitting.
Hey, Joe, as a catcher, now you're an honest guy. I don't know if you've ever done this. If you knew you had no chance to get the guy, would you bobble the ball? Oh, I couldn't get a grip. So
No,
you have to throw it.
No, never do that.
You think
no.
some catchers do that?
No, I don't think so. I think when they have no chance, what ends up happening is they rush and they stand up too quickly, and then the ball gets too far away from your body, and it's hard to go in and get a grip.
Okay. 1-1.
Michael, it's funny because when you were going into this conversation, I thought, where's this going? You don't have a chance. You're going to intentionally drill the guy in the head and try to get catcher's interference or something.
No. Well, that's a good question. How about that?
No, I've never done that. And the hard thing about catcher interference, the only time you really get catcher's interference is if you actually throw and hit him. If you don't throw, you're not going to get it. And that's hard for a catcher because a lot of times the guy will fall across the plate and your natural reaction is to stop because you don't want to throw it and hit their helmet. I mean, I've done that in drills before. We had a drill we were doing with the Yankees. There was a batter standing in there, and we were throwing behind the runner and throwing to third base, and I hit my middle finger on his helmet, and it cost me a week of playing. And so your natural reaction is to stop. And I wish if the guy fell across the plate and they thought he impeded.
That's a fair ball inside first and down the right field line. Cairo will score. Damon gets his second double of the game. This one an RBI double, and the Yankees lead 1-0.
And it's so important there because, you lead off the game with a double and you don't score. Now you got a guy on second base and with 2 strikes. And Johnny Damon's been line to line. First time up, double down the left field line. This time up, double down the right field line. And again, you can't waste too many opportunities. I mean, when you got a guy on second base with nobody out, that's almost a given. You have to score that run.
And as I was saying, I wish they would call interference if they thought they impeded with you throwing. You didn't necessarily have to hit him. Now, I would be surprised if Derek Jeter doesn't try to, at some point, bunt here, because you got your ace on the mound, and you go into this game knowing that you probably don't need a lot of runs to win this game. So Derek needs to try to get him over any way he can.
There's a strike. Derek 5 for his last 33. Now, Josh Fields is about a step behind the bag at third, but if you bunt to third, you get the job done. If you make Fields field the ball, then obviously Damon just heads to third and job accomplished. But Jeter did not offer on the first pitch, and he's down 0-1 in the count. Count 1.
The other thing about bunting here, if you do decide to try to lay one down, Javier Vasquez is very athletic, and he's a very good fielder, so you have to make sure that you get it away from him.
Line drive to center field. That is a base hit. Jerry Owens fields, and they're going to hold Damon up at third. So a single for Jeter, and the Yankees have runners on the corners, nobody out.
And this is the hitting you had last night during the big inning. I mean, guys weren't driving the ball out of the ballpark, but they were having a great approach. Men on scoring position, drive the ball up the middle, don't come off of it.
That is just a picture perfect swing with his head down. And I always thought as a hitter, a lot of times it was easier to work the ball to right field when the ball was middle in opposed to middle away, because you could keep your hands inside of him. And that's what Derek's so good at doing. And then, I thought he might bunt there, but he's so good at going the other way and up the middle. I mean, that's his natural stroke that he took the advantage of getting a base hit. You look at the Bacardi scouting report on Bobby Abreu. In the last 5 games, he's been on 3 times. He's had 9 base hits and 6 walks during that streak. He's getting back to normal. He's hitting the ball the other way, and he is a career 300 hitter, and you're starting to see his average creep up.
He's at 250 now after the strikeout in the first.
And Bobby Abreu has always been a hitter that really works the count. He's at 8 straight years where he's had at least 100 walks, and he's going to give you a tough at bat day in and day out.
There's a strike. The old fake to third, fake to first. We call it the Jeff Nelson.
Works every time, doesn't it?
Every time.
I think sometimes in that situation you'll see a pitcher do it. I mean, he didn't really try to sell that. I mean, he just kind of, you know, nonchalant fake to third, throw to first. I think sometimes they do that because they're not comfortable with the sign that the catcher possibly put down, and the pitcher might have changed his mind.
Count 2-1. A-Rod lurks on deck.
See how Vasquez is got the ball down in the zone now, trying to get that double play ball. So he's gone away from where he was getting his outs by throwing the ball up because of the situation in the game. And the Yankees are good at laying off that pitch.
Thing is, he wasn't trying to go up early in the game, and he was getting away with pitches because he was missing by so much. Now that he's throwing strikes down the zone, the Yankees are hitting him.
And he walks Abreu. Now the bases are loaded with nobody out for Alex Rodriguez. And Don Cooper wants to have a talk.
Oh, you talked about in the open, when Johnny Damon gets going, you usually have big innings. And here he is. He's right in the middle of it again.
If you're a pitching coach, what do you mean? All right, now listen here. You got no outs. You got bases loaded. You got A-Rod at the plate.
I always thought that what you would tell him in this situation is, you know, let's keep the damage to a minimum. You know, try to get a double play ball here. Use your sinker, your slider. And let's not, you know, try to be perfect.
April 7th against the Orioles. Situation, bases loaded. 9th inning. And A-Rod with the grand slam to win a game. And got some long-awaited love from the New York fans. A-Rod struck out in the first. He is 0 for 1, hitting .298. 21 homers, 50 ribbies. 1-0.
Joe, you're talking. I mean, he's making the pitches he wants to make now. Down in the zone, down and away, and they're just borderline pitches, and he's not getting them.
And sometimes it's hard, you know, for umpires because umpires want to get in rhythm. He was throwing so many pitches up that, you know, the focus for Larry Poncino sometimes might be up in the zone, and he's not looking down. I thought that ball was low, but it's umpires want to get in a rhythm, and when you're all over the place, it makes it tough on them.
That one's driven deep to left field, and that one is off the wall. The Koviak plays it. Damon scores. Jeter scores. A-Rod's at second. He's out. And stopping at third is Abreu as the Yankees have a 3-0 lead, and A-Rod does not like the call. Gary Darling, the second base umpire. But I believe it was the first base umpire who made the call, Bruce Dreckman.
And you know, right or wrong, he is not close enough to make this call, and that's what frustrates Alex Rodriguez here. And if you look at the end of this conversation, he actually is telling the umpire to relax. See, he comes back. That's what irritates you as a player, to have an umpire come stomping back at you, and if you continue, he's going to throw you out of the game. Right there, that's not right.
Now, one thing about that, though, if Alex Rodriguez was not admiring his drive, he's at second base easily. He didn't run hard out of the box. He thought he had a grand slam. Infield is in. The pitch to Posada is outside.
Well, he hits this ball so hard. That's why it's a double. I mean, he hits this ball so hard off the fence. And actually, because Koviak didn't throw to second, Alex thought he could get to second. He had to throw it to Uribe, and Uribe relayed it to him. As you watch this, Uribe makes this strong throw to Gucci, and Alex slides in, and he thinks he beats the throw, and Bruce Dreckman's behind him, and it's tough for him to see the call.
And from that angle, it looks like he did beat the throw. And what happens there, why Dreckman's covering, is they rotate. So the second base umpire is out in the outfield.
There are some calls for umpires that are just tough because of the way that play developed. I mean, Bruce Dreckman's on a dead sprint trying to follow Alex Rodriguez, but because of the rotation, it becomes a difficult call.
Count 3-0 on Posada. So that is a somewhat unorthodox way for Vasquez to get his first out of the inning. They turned him loose on 3-1, of course, in the count 3-2.
You know, in the midst of our talking here, this is the inning we had last night where they scored 5, and it's just solid base hits, and it's moving guys over, and it's trying to do the right thing, and these are the things that's got to, if you're Joe Torre, kind of put a smile on your face and think maybe, just maybe, we're getting over the hump.
Good things are usually going to happen when your approach is right. In this inning, the approach has been right. They've been patient. They have not tried to do too much. When they've needed to move runners over, they've done it.
Looks like he was in there. You think A-Rod also is a little upset at himself because if he had run hard out of the box, he knows that that's not close?
Well, I think Alex is upset because he knows that they had a chance to have a huge inning, and possibly by making that out, you take that chance away. Maybe he is, maybe isn't, but Alex felt that he was safe, and I think that's why he's so upset.
Pitch to Matsui is a strike.
But I think you're right, Michael. I think sometimes as a player, you know that, you know, you possibly didn't do it exactly right, and if you would have done it exactly right, you would have, you know, either been safe easier or you would have made the right play easily, and sometimes you think about that in your head and it upsets you.
The 0-1. 0-2. So the Yankees lead 3-0. They have runners on the corner, still just 1 out. Matsui at the plate with an 0-2 count. Count 1-2.
That was the pitch right there that so many of the Yankee hitters were swinging at early in the game, and the Yankees have been through the lineup 1 time. And now they understand that he's trying to do that, especially late in the count, and it's a pitch that you need to lay off of.
Way outside. Along with Paul O'Neill and Joe Girardi, I'm Michael Kay. You're watching Yankees baseball on Yes. Don Cooper going to the bullpen phone because Javier Vasquez is about to throw his 30th pitch of the inning.
Joe, you talked about the first night in here with Garland. He knows how to get ahead of a lot of guys. And Vasquez needs a strikeout here. He's trying to save a run. He needs a strikeout or a double play. He got 0-2, and all of a sudden, you know, you're trying to figure out how to make that perfect pitch.
Matsui swings at a pitch on the outside part of the plate. Tagging is Abreu. Owens makes the catch. Here's the throw, cut off by Konerko, and Posada is out. But the run scored. It scored before Posada was tagged out. So some base running by the Yankees actually cut short an inning where they scored 4 runs. This is one of those base running mistakes with the bases loaded. A-Rod hits one up the base of the wall, but he's out trying to stretch. Yankees lead 4-0 here in the top of the 3rd.
At second base, it's hard to tell from that angle, but I think Jorge Posada was just making sure that that 4th run scored.
Now, don't they take into account, though, Joe, that Owens doesn't have a good arm? I mean, what was the likelihood of the runner getting thrown out the Coors Light scoreboard? 4-0 Yanks.
And I think a lot of time you see the trajectory of the ball and you think it's going to go over the cutoff's head. That's another reason that you keep going, because there's no one holding you on at first. You can get a long ways and you see if he can cut it, you can go back. But because of the trajectory of the ball, it looked like it might go over Konerko's head as well.
Two very close plays at second. They could have gone either way. A-Rod argued, and Posada did not. The 1-0 to Makoviak, sliced the other way, and it slices foul. Nice catch by a fan.
I was going to say, he better hurry up and sit down. They're going to escort him out of here.
That little guy had a glove, and he made a great catch. Yankee fan here in Chicago. Line drive, base hit for Makoviak, and that's the first base hit for the White Sox.
Left-handed hitter, this is how you have to hit Wang. I mean, you know what's coming 99% of the time is that good sinker. And if you start to come off that ball, you're going to roll it over or ground out. He stays on this ball, stays through it, doesn't try to pull it. It's not really a ball away. It's just the only way, the best way to go against a good sinker.
You talked about as a sinker baller, when you try to go in against the left-hander, a lot of times it's tough because you got that late run, but you have to be almost perfect. And there was a situation where the ball ran back across the plate.
Here's Josh Fields, called up today. And that ball bounces in front of Posada, and then Makoviak heads up, heads to second.
Good base running by Makoviak. I mean, you don't have to wait to see how far this ball goes away from Georgie. If you're reading that ball in the dirt, there's no way a catcher can find that ball and throw you out if you break immediately.
Josh Fields, this is not his major league debut. Came up last year, actually hit a home run, and his first at bat. Nice way to break into the big leagues. Ground ball to second. There's one away as Makoviak moves to third. Now let me ask you this question, Paul. In that situation, they always say you want to move the runner to third. But when you're down 4-0, is that really what you're trying to do, or do you want to get a base hit there?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking to drive him in by going to right field. I mean, and that ball was hit hard, and if it's 5-6 feet from Cano, it's through the line. But if you score this run, all of a sudden it's a 4-1 game. If you're trying to pull the ball and you don't get him over and you go back in, it's 4-0 still. You're out of the game.
So you still have that thought process, even down 4-0.
Yeah, you've got to tack on. I always thought the hardest run to score was the first run. Once you get on the board, things open up a little bit. When you keep throwing zeros up there, and Wang gets more comfortable throwing zeros up there, it becomes much more difficult.
Yankees play the infield back for Uribe, the number 9 batter, so they'll give up the run on the ground ball. Now, does your thought process change, Joe, if it's the 7th inning and you're down 4-0?
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
Because then you're looking for a big inning.
You're just looking for a base hit. You're not concerned about, because in your mind, in a sense, that run doesn't mean anything. You need base runners, and you're just trying to get a base hit. But being only the 3rd inning, you just try to chip away.
And that's going to get the run in. So the little ball works for the White Sox, and the Yankee lead is now 4-1 as Makoviak scores.
I remember numerous times walking to the plate knowing I had to get a guy over, and Joe Torre would scream from the dugout, swing the bat. I want you to swing the bat here. So he would take it off sometimes because he knew a lot of times I was more comfortable hitting the ball to left field, and he wanted a good at bat to try to score a run. So a lot depends on what situation you are in the game.
Now, is there a cutoff inning? Like it's the 5th inning, 4-0. Do you still do it that way, or do you come out of that?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that you have to think about. You got to think about the bullpen that the other club has. I mean, you just can't say yes every 5th inning you stop. It all changes. Who's on the mound. I mean, have you hit this guy before? There's a lot of factors that go into that. And I think what Paul was talking about, Joe Torre knew his players and knew the opposing players. If you're a left-handed hitter and you're facing Chien-Ming Wang, it's not going to be easy to pull the ball. No. I mean, because he is going to pound that sinker away, away, away. So that's what Paul's talking about. Joe Torre would say, hit a deep fly ball to center field. Just get him over. Drive a ball somewhere. And don't worry about being, trying to play ABC ball where you hit a ground ball to the right side.
Now, with a guy like Wang, though, if you're a left-handed batter and you want to hit the ball to the right side, Isn't it easy, though, if you just roll the wrist? I mean, it seems like guys hit soft ground balls.
But again, you're trying to drive the guy in by hitting it to the right side. And
so you're not giving up the out.
Yeah, you're trying to do two things at once, but just to roll it over, I mean, yeah, you're just giving away. You might as well bunt because you're just giving away an out.
Speaking of bunting, we saw this yesterday, and I was watching BP, early BP for the White Sox today. That third baseline, it's almost impossible for a bunt to go foul. I mean, you could go sleigh riding from the foul line to the infield grass. It's so tilted.
And I mean, the home player should know that. And these guys, I mean, Owens, for instance, should know that and work on that, because it's a big part of his game, or should be.
Well, the White Sox chip away. They get 1 run on 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left on base. We played 3 full innings here in Chicago. Yankees lead the White Sox 4-1, and you are watching Yes. We go to the top of the 4th inning. It is time for the Aflac trivia question. Javier Vasquez was the losing pitcher during David Cohn's perfect game. Which 2 Yankees homered off of him in that game? Now, I don't see how you two can't get this, since you both played in that game.
You know what I can get? I know one guy who didn't homer off of him.
And I know another.
So you've eliminated 2.
If we go through the starting lineup that day, we've already 2 of them are gone.
Well, Bernie was in the lineup, right? Jeter, Brocious, Tino, Knobloch, Cano pops up, Konerko in foul territory, and there's 1 away. I still like the embrace at the end of that perfect game. Cohn's almost embarrassed by it. It almost looked like he lost. He said he just didn't look cool.
He didn't look cool. You know, if I threw a perfect game, I wouldn't really worry how I looked.
You want to hear a day, though, Michael? Listen to this. I remember that day well, because I had a friend that came to Cincinnati from Cincinnati to visit. So he ends up going to the game. All right. And after that game, we jump in the car with the wives.
Springsteen.
In Springsteen's that night in New Jersey.
That was my night, too.
That is, I mean, there's not too many days in your life that you go to the ballpark, play in a perfect game, jump in a car, have a meal, and see Springsteen that night.
That was a great day.
Wow.
And that was a giant stadium, too. It wasn't just the arena. And the odd part, after that no-hitter, a perfect game, David Cohn was never the same. Never had the same sort of career. Because remember, the next year after that was the horror year where he just couldn't win.
And on the other hand, I remember David Wells after his perfect game. He was the best pitcher in baseball for the rest of the season. I mean, he had so much confidence. He ended up throwing great all the way through the World Series that year. I mean, he was a different pitcher afterwards.
Cabrera lines one to right field, and Dye can't make the play, and it gets past him, and it rolls toward the wall. Melky will get an easy 3. A triple for Melky Cabrera here in the 4th.
Now, Paul, with 1 out, is that a play that you try to make, or do you take the single?
You know, Jermaine Dye goes at that ball straight forward. If I dove, I like to dive towards the side, so you still had an opportunity to slide into it and kind of keep it in front of you. When you dive straight at a ball, you just have nobody behind you in the outfield. And you're right, Joe. I mean, you have to know the situation. Pitchers love to see guys go after balls, but a single with 1 out is a lot different than a triple. You see, he goes straight at the ball instead of kind of sliding in to the side where you still have an opportunity to block it.
Cairo's up, and the infield is in to try to cut off this run.
To me, these are the exciting bats in baseball, because you got a guy at home plate can do a lot of different things. He can squeeze, he can get a base hit, he can hit a sac fly. it just puts so much pressure on the defense and the opposing manager because Miguel Cairo is not one-dimensional.
Fouled away.
And the area, it's funny, by bringing the infield in, you've increased the area that Cairo usually uses, and that's over the infielder's head in front of the outfielder. So it's almost that the area that is open now is Miguel Cairo's strength.
And you have to be careful about where you jam hitters now, because that little jam shot that's usually just a little fly ball to the infielder all of a sudden gets over their head.
The Yankee season once ended like that in 2001 with the infield in. Luis Gonzalez with a jam shot over the head of Jeter ended the season. The 1-2. Broken bat popped up and in the seats, out of play. Barrel of the bat ends up at shortstop.
A little surprised how deep the White Sox are playing here with Cairo, especially with 2 strikes. I mean, this is the time as an outfielder you want to keep kind of creeping in, and you want to know where you are in the outfield, because if you go back at all, obviously you're not going to have an opportunity to throw him out. But if you can keep the ball in front of you, you can still make a strong throw.
Cabrera has good speed at third. Dye has the best arm in the outfield. Makoviak's not a bad left field arm. Owens seems like he has a speedster's arm in center field.
Could you explain that?
Doesn't throw very well.
No.
Better off running it in?
Pretty much. 1-2. Stays alive.
You know, I bet Josh Fields and Jerry Owens could have some fun before the game started if they got here early, because I talked about Josh Fields threw 55 touchdown passes at Oklahoma State, and that is an Oklahoma State record. And you have Jerry Owens, who went to UCLA as a wide receiver his first 2 years in college, so they could probably have a little fun.
1-2. You guys ever play football in high school?
I did, and I absolutely loved it.
Really?
Yes.
And what did you play?
I was a quarterback.
H2O boy.
And a defensive back. I actually liked playing football more than baseball.
What happened?
I was too small, too slow, and couldn't throw it far enough.
Well, you enjoyed it more.
Yes.
Swing and a miss. That's a big strikeout for Vasquez. And the put out is 2-3, so 2 down.
Javier Vasquez throws him something he hasn't thrown him all night. He throws him that circle change, and he's got a very good one. Similar to what Tyler Clippard did last night to Paulie Konerko. He threw him that changeup that's down and in. It's a very tough pitch for a right-hander to hit, and he gets the strikeout.
How about you, Paul? Football?
You know, I did play football, but I was more into basketball and baseball. But back when you were, you know, they wanted you to play every sport, you had to be on the football team to date a cheerleader. It's not like you could take the season off. So you put a uniform on, you kicked off, you played safety once in a while, and you got to date a cheerleader.
The cheerleaders would date the baseball stars?
That doesn't make sense to you.
It makes sense, but I just don't know why it was like that.
Well,
you were a baseball star too, right?
Well, it wasn't baseball season. You know, I enjoyed basketball. I enjoyed baseball. I enjoyed football up until, you know, guys started getting big, and then, you know, you got beat up out there. So it was more fun to play this. But to be part of school functions and be things, you had to be part of the team.
What position did you play?
I kicked, punted, and every once in a while ran safety.
Now that makes sense why you kicked that ball so well.
There we go. Here we go.
From the outfield to the first baseman.
The 0-2.
You know what's funny? Aaron, my son, he's at the game, right? So we got a little time today. The kids aren't, or the kids, yeah, the guys, the Yankees aren't hitting on the field today because this is a shocker. It was raining again in Chicago.
Right.
So we went out to the truck, and they were saying how they have the archives of all of the plays, and that's what he said. He said, "Do you have the play where my dad kicked the ball?" And thank goodness they said no.
The 0-2. Well, that was a good kick, though. It was a perfect kick.
Yeah, the funny thing, Larry Bowe was the third base coach then, and he brings it up once in a while. And Todd Benzinger, who was the first baseman, caught the ball that night, and he had turned away a couple times during the play to read the runner. Didn't know I'd kicked the ball.
Broken back ground ball to second. Iguchi over to Konerko, and that'll do it.
I'm going to tell you about Benzinger next inning.
That's what we call a tease in the business. No runs a hit. One man left. We go to the bottom of the fourth. It's 4-1 Yanks. Time for the Aflac trivia answer. Javier Vasquez was the losing pitcher during David Cohn's perfect game.
Give me a guess. I'm going to say Tino and Bernie.
That's what I guessed. Now you copied my answers.
Well,
You're both wrong.
Ricky Ledee. Forgot about Ricky Ledee.
Remember he almost dropped that ball in the outfield?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
He got a look, too.
Yeah.
I think he lost that ball. I remember talking to him about after the game, and he actually lost that ball for a while. And you talk about your heart starting to pound in your chest in the middle of a no-hitter, and you lose a ball in the outfield.
I think that was in the 9th inning, too. Ooh. Both of you guys, by the way, had doubles in that game. Pitch to Iguchi is grounded foul outside of third. And let's take a look at the final out. Brocious puts it away. Does it hurt at the bottom of the pile there, Joe?
Oh, yes, it does. And it especially hurts when a certain right fielder comes and is in a dead sprint from right field and jumps on top.
You know what? You guys have all the fun because we're always stuck out in the outfield.
Iguchi strikes out. Well, you caught the final out for David Wells' perfect.
Right.
All right, so you got to finish your story, Paul.
Oh, yeah, Benzinger. Well, I don't know. Did you see the play?
Yes.
I thought the game was over. It's a do-or-die play. I booted it. Literally booted it. I mean, I missed the play, so I wasn't going to get him at the plate, so I went ahead and kicked the ball. Well, I didn't know that the runner had fallen going around third base. And so Benzinger, who was playing first base for us at the time, is checking Lenny Dykstra, who hit the ball rounding first, to see if we have a chance at second. Well, he didn't see me kick the ball. So I go back, I sit on the bench, and he comes over to me and he says, you know, we would have had Dykstra at second, but you didn't have anything on the throw.
Squibber down the third baseline has a base hit. Yankees had the shift on for Tomei. He rounds first. He'll stop right there as A-Rod retrieves.
And I'm looking at him, and I'm scared to death. I mean, still young. I'm thinking, my God, I'm going to AAA tomorrow. I just kicked the ball in a Major League Baseball game. And he said there was nothing on the throw, and I just looked over. I said, Benzie, I kicked it. I said, you didn't see me kick the ball? I said, I kicked the ball. And he just kind of stood there and scratched his head and couldn't figure it out, like the rest of them.
But because you kicked the ball, you were able to date cheerleaders.
Yeah, I practiced in high school.
Here's Jermaine Dye. Now, my question is, you've known your wife since you guys were 5 years old.
She was a cheerleader.
Was she a cheerleader?
She was a cheerleader.
So she wouldn't have dated you if you were on the football team?
It was a sure thing if you're on the team, you know. Got to wear your jersey on Friday afternoon and everything.
The 1-0. Grounded toward third. A-Rod with the hop. He'll take the out at first. Gets it as Tomei advances to second. Along with Joe Girardi and Paul O'Neill, I'm Michael Kay. You're watching Yankees baseball here on Yes. Bottom of the fourth inning. Yankees lead the White Sox 4-1.
Again, these are the big runs or the big outs. These are the outs that make or break the game. I mean, you have an opportunity to get a big 2-out hit here, and you're back in the game to 4-2. And all of a sudden, if Wang makes his pitch, you're out of the inning, and you've kept your lead.
And the pitch to Przinsky is low, 1-0. They have not had an extra base hit in their last 52 at-bats as a team. Hit sharply right at Jeter. Gets a nice hop right into the breadbasket across the diamond, and that'll do it. So Chien-Ming Wang continues to pitch well. No runs a hit, and one man left. At the end of 4, it's 4-1 Yankees on Yes. Well, thank you, Bob. Luckily, Gary Sheffield swinging a hot bat kind of obscures some of the ridiculous statements he's made over the past couple of days. Corona Extra scoreboard, top of the 5th inning. It's 4-1 Yankees over the White Sox. Derek Jeter will lead off. It'll be Jeter, Abreu, and A-Rod. 4-6-0 for the Yanks and 1-2-0 for the White Sox. Jeter's 1 for 2, struck out and singled to center, scored a run. Pitch outside.
And we talked before the game that Joe Torre mentioned, you know, he just has a feeling that something good is going to start happening. And if you start adding up.
Fly ball to fairly deep center. Owens is there. 1 away.
If you start adding up some of the things that are going on the team, I mean, Derek had a couple hits last night. He's had a couple good swings tonight. Cano's turning it around. Abreu's turning it around. A-Rod. You start seeing these things on a daily basis like Joe Torre does, and you start seeing what this team could possibly do offensively. And then you look down the road with Clemens coming in on the weekend and Pettit going back out on Friday. Like you talked about, Michael, the next 4 days are going to be your quality starters. And all of a sudden, you know, you start looking at, you know, some win streaks instead of just trying to win tonight desperately, you know.
Now, speaking of Clemens, you know, he's got a little incentive. Obviously, he wants to pitch well anyway, but Randy Johnson pitched last night and passed Clemens in strikeouts. He leads him by 1. And so Clemens will get a chance to move ahead on Saturday, although Clemens pitched many more innings than Johnson. 7 Cy Youngs to 5. Rogers never pitched a no-hitter. Randy Johnson has pitched 2. Roger has a lot more wins than Randy. Fouled away. I've seen a lot of no-hitters because of doing the Yankees. They've had 4 since I've been here. The 2 perfect games, and then Jim Abbott and
Dwight Gooden.
And you look at those games, and obviously the pitchers were dominant, especially in the perfect games. But I wonder if you agree with me on this, Paul. When Clemens pitched that game against Seattle in the playoffs, I was about as dominant as I've ever seen a pitcher. And Alex Rodriguez said he's never seen a pitcher pitch better than that game.
And that was, I mean, a playoff is such a different stage, too. I mean, you talk about, people talk about perfect games, and the first one that comes to your mind is Don Larson because it happened in a World Series game. And Clemens going out in that playoff atmosphere and throwing the way he did that night, it was most times in a close game, in a playoff, you have so many butterflies by the end of the game to try to finish it out. That night, it was so relaxing because you know that he had that game completely under control.
He had a blistering fastball, an unbelievable split, and he had a slider that was diving down out of the strike zone. He had 3 amazing out pitches, and A-Rod was on the Mariners then, and he just said no one had a chance. No one had a chance. I remember in the first inning, I don't know if you remember this, Paul, he went up and in on A-Rod and knocked him down, and A-Rod never got a good swing the rest of the night. Breaking ball strike. That was either a 1 or a 2 hitter. But I know he was extremely dominant. It was a shutout. A-Rod with 2 runs batted in the 3rd inning. Hit one off the base of the wall in left center with the bases loaded. Kind of admired it, thought it might have been a grand slam. Then he started to hustle out of the box, tried to stretch it into a double, and was thrown out.
I saw Felix Hernandez throw his 1-hitter against the Red Sox early on this year, and that was one of the most dominating performances that I've ever seen. It was amazing to watch. I mean, there's a young man from Seattle that's throwing 97 miles an hour with that slider and the curveball, and he just overpowered him.
All right, Joe, we got Game 7 of the World Series, 2 outs in their prime. Would you rather face Randy Johnson or Roger Clemens?
Well, my guess is I would have been lifted for a pinch hitter.
Breaking ball, strike 3. A-Rod knew it, and he is down looking. So the Yankees go down in order 1-2-3 here in the 5th. We played half the game, 4.5 in the books. Yankees 4, and the White Sox 1 here on Yes. Hey, tonight after the postgame, stay tuned to Yes for the premiere of GMC Truck Presents Center Stage with Steve Van Zandt. As the world awaits the Big Sopranos finale Sunday, don't miss this fascinating conversation with Tony's right-hand man, Silvio. That's right, plus hear what it's like to be the E Street guitarist for the other boss in his life. It's a very special Center Stage, Steve Van Zandt. It premieres tonight after the postgame only on Yes. He was very, very good on that show, so if you don't have to get up early tomorrow, tune in. Corona Extra Scoreboard. It's 4-1. Yankees lead, bottom of the 5th. Konerko leads off. Yankee fan made his way to the Windy City.
It's amazing where you go. It doesn't matter what ballpark you go to. There's Yankee fans. They're all over the country. I mean, ball's fouled off. It doesn't matter if you're in California, if you're in the Midwest, you're in New York. There's true Yankee fans. And I don't think people realize that other teams, I mean, Joe, you had it with the Cubs. The Cubs have fans around the country. But most teams don't have a traveling thing that goes with them all over the country.
One-two count on Konerko. Well, you've got your son Aaron convinced, because I asked him the other day, if you're good enough to play baseball, would you want to play for your hometown Cincinnati Reds? Or he didn't even want to get it out. He said Yankees.
Well, they grew up watching, you know, me play with the Yankees and Andy a little bit with the Reds, but I mean, they understood how important it was and what winning was all about. And I'm not exaggerating here. We have been to one game since I retired in Cincinnati. They're not interested in going to see the Cincinnati Reds play because they've never seen that team win. People love to watch teams win.
And the 3-2 upstairs. Konerko works a leadoff walk. And here's Rob Makoviak, who scored the only run for the White Sox. And it was an ABC run. Single, moved to second on a wild pitch. Boone Logan warming up. Moved to third on a ground ball to the right side. This could be a double play. Nice stab by Cano. There's one, and there's two. And you got to turn it quickly with Makoviak. And the Yankees did just that. So another game where Chien-Ming Wang turns a double play. Every game this year he's had at least one.
And you see a lot of double plays because Chien-Ming Wang is going to give up some base runners because he pitches to contact and there are going to be hits. But this is a very good play by Robinson Cano. Makes a good feed to Derek Jeter. Derek understands that he has time and makes a good feed to Miguel Cairo. And Koviak hit that ball hard, but it just happened to be right at Robinson Cano. He's had two pretty good swings. He had a single in the third inning. He led off the third inning with a single, and there he hit that ball hard as well.
There's Josh Fields. Big healthy cut. Count 0-1. Chien-Ming Wang has had 10 ground ball outs. Josh Fields, one of them, a ground ball, a second.
That's one of the things that I've seen in Chien-Ming Wang over the last 3 years. His slider seems to have a lot more bite and tilt and goes down a lot more than it did in 2005 when he kind of burst onto the scene. And you look at the ground ball outs. I mean, that's just vintage Chien-Ming Wang. He's got 10 already during the course of this game. Not going to be a lot of strikeouts, like I said, because he pitches to contact.
You know, it's funny because you look at him and the way he goes about things, and you've talked about it. He's not a strikeout guy. So if you're watching the game, you don't see a pitcher dominating the other team per se because they're putting the ball in play. And then you look up at the end of the game. I mean, we're in the bottom of the 5th, and he's given up 2 hits. 1 run. And that's, I mean, if you're an opposing player, you know how tough it is to try to get the ball out of the infield because he's got such great sink. And he's not your average sinker ball pitcher because he throws 94, 95 at times.
And the fact that he pitches to contact allows him to pitch somewhat economically. He's thrown just 52 pitches. We're here in the 5th inning. So that's a little over 10 pitches per inning. Get complete games that way. And the 3-1. Another ground ball. Jeter gobbles it up. And that'll do it. So the minimum 3 batters are faced here in the 5th. No runs, no hits, no errors. And because of the double play, nobody left. We go to the 6th. It's 4-1 Yankees. Continental Airlines, the official airline of the Yankees. Audi, the truth in engineering. And by IO Digital Cable, the leader in HD. And HD is free with IO.
When you look into the bullpen, you see that Boone Logan is up in the bullpen. It's only the 6th inning. It's a 4-1 game. And Vasquez is a guy that usually pitches fairly deep in the game, but he's got 100 pitches already. And you probably won't see him go much further than Posada if Posada gets on base.
Logan's ready. He's been throwing for a while. Paul, I got a phone call today, and you ticked somebody off yesterday. Jim Cott called me.
No, kid, he didn't. He's on a golf course. I
swear, a friend of his was listening in New York. Heard you said he was 70 years old.
Well, I was rounding him up. That's all. You know.
He said, I heard you and Paul having a little fun at my expense. I said, and because I'm a good friend to him, I threw you under the bus. I said, it was all O'Neill. I had nothing to do with it.
There we go.
So you'll be getting a phone call from Kitty soon. Pitch is outside 2-2.
Oh, he'll ask me about Butler National today. I guarantee it. You know the story about Butler National. Butler was a real estate mogul, built his own golf course out there. But as we're driving around, the guy is talking to me about McDonald University, Hamburger College, or whatever it is.
That one's driven to deep right field. Going back is Dye on the track at the wall. He doesn't make the play, and the ball caroms out into center field as Posada has a double, and Dye slow getting up.
You know, it's been an amazing start of the year for Jorge Posada. He just hasn't slowed down, and he's made 1 good month, 2 good months. He's off to a good start in his 3rd month, and this ball just misses going out. And Jermaine Dye looked like he jammed his foot into this wall a little bit. You see this ball hit the pad just below the yellow line, and this ball almost goes out of the ballpark for the 5th run of the night.
Never like those chain link fences. Your spikes get caught in the fence, and you know you don't have your balance if you're trying to go up because they give so much. And looks like he caught a spike in the fence.
Looked like his right leg and right ankle turned at a weird angle. He's okay though.
So back what I was talking about in this area, I thought the guy was kidding. But Joe, you grew up here. I'm sure you know about it. I mean,
well, Oak Brook is the headquarters for McDonald's.
So you got Hamburger University?
Well, there's quite a few large buildings out there that have big M's on.
I just got in my ear that Ronald McDonald graduated from there. I don't know.
That's our brilliant producer, Kevin Smolin. That guy was no clown when it came to education.
Go back to Georgia, and you've said it. He started off with 1 good month and has turned into good. If you remember in the years past, I mean, Georgie would have good at bats, and he's always been a good hitter. But he would have those at bats where he was guessing or just gave away a few at bats a night, and he'd get back to catching, and it can happen. Georgie has been so disciplined this year at giving himself a chance every at bat. And that's why he's, I mean, if you look at the scoreboard, he's up in the league leaders in average because day in and day out, he's had 4 or 5 good at bats instead of 2 or 3.
And it all started in spring training. I saw it in spring training early on where he was hitting the ball the other way. He was hitting it hard into the left center gap, and his approach was great, and he's just carried it over.
And Matsui just stays alive. Samsung's Four Seasons of Hope and Joe Torre have teamed up to make a difference in the community. For every Yankees home run hit at home this year, Samsung will donate $1,000 to Joe Torre's Safe at Home Foundation to help end the cycle of domestic violence. You can join the team and support Samsung's Home Run for Kids by visiting fourseasonsofhope.com or joetorre.org, because a little hope can make a big difference. Count still 0-2 on Matsui. And they have Posada hung up. Przinsky's going to run right at him, which is the play. Posada is yet to commit. And now they have him in a rundown, tagged out by Fields. One away.
I think Georgie thought this ball was going to get away from Przinsky more than it did, and it went right in front of him. And then he got hung out to dry, and Przinsky did the right thing. He didn't commit too early. He made George commit to which way he was going, and then he turned it over to the little bit faster player, and Josh Fields, and they get the out. And you're taught to read the ball in the dirt, but this ball just didn't get far enough away from Przinsky, and they got an out.
Well, the Yankees lead 4-1. It could be more. This is the third Yankee that's been erased on the base paths tonight. Posada wants at second. Now he gets erased again at second. And Rodriguez at second. Matsui pops one up left field. Makoviak is there. And there's two away.
These are the games you got to be kind of careful if you're the Yankees, because, you know, Wang's thrown the ball so well, you almost get comfortable where you are with the lead. And you know, before you know it, you haven't tacked on any runs, and it's still 4-1, and the White Sox are very much still in this game. So it's important to keep going after teams, and even if you throw a run up, run here, you know, they add up by the end of the game, and it takes a lot of pressure off Wang also.
And we talked about Chien-Ming Wang. He's a contact pitcher, and sometimes those balls just find holes, and sometimes you give up some runs. So I think that's why it's also important that you tack on runs, because you don't have a pitcher that's going to go and completely dominate you from the sense that he strikes everyone out.
Pitch to Cano is low, and the count 1-1. Cano tonight is 0 for 2. Grounded to second and fouled out the first. Right back up the middle, knocked down by Vasquez. That was pure reflex. And Cano has a base hit taken away from him. And Vasquez's heart beating just a little bit faster. For the Yankees in the sixth, no runs ahead, no errors. And nobody left on base. This is scary. Lucky he didn't hit his face. We go to the bottom of the sixth. 4-1 Yanks. Juan Uribe rockets one foul outside of third, and we are underway here in the bottom of the sixth inning. Yankees lead 4-1, and what the Yankees have to hope is that their base running miscues do not come back and haunt them, because they should have a bigger lead than 3 runs. 4-7-0 beating 1-2-0. Wang's been great. Grounded outside of third again.
Even if you're Vasquez, you go in after the game and you look up and it just doesn't make sense. I mean, you see all zeros, but all of a sudden in the third inning you gave up a 4 spot, and to me that's I never understood a pitcher that could, you know, just zip through the lineup time and time again, and then all of a sudden one inning just give up 4 runs.
The 0-2. Foul back.
You know, when you're a strike thrower like Chien-Ming Wang is, and you're always around the plate, sometimes it's hard to expand on a guy like Uribe, especially if you're a sinker baller. And we've talked about he loves to chase the ball up. It's harder for him to do it. So if you're going to make him chase, I think you try to make him chase a breaking ball down in the zone, or you just go with a good sinker. There he goes. He did it. I mean, that's good.
I mean, that's hard for him to aim up there. I mean, Mariano, some of these other guys are able to get away with that pitch because they throw it a lot. I mean, that's almost stepping back, seeing the signal, and saying, this is what I try not to do, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Swing and a miss. Uribe down on strikes. Wang's thrown 58 pitches, which is approximately half of what Vasquez has thrown.
And you see him make him chase this slider that's down below the zone, almost on the ground. It's just it's a great pitch, especially after he goes up, because he changed his eye a little. He went up, and then he went way down.
Back to the top of the lineup, and Jerry Owens. They continue to throw in the bullpen for the White Sox. Vasquez wants to stay in. And there's a strike to Owens. Brett Prinz has been joined, or is joining now, Boone Logan. Prinz called up before yesterday's game. Grounded in the hole. The off-balance throw to first. Once Jeter had a backhand, you knew that Owens had a base hit.
We've gone over it. This is the type of player, if you're called to the major leagues, you use your legs, this is the type of swing you want to work at. So in batting practice, don't see how far you can hit or how many home runs you can hit. Work on slapping that ball in the hole, because anytime you make that shortstop go to the right, like Derek had to go here, you cannot get enough on the throw to throw him out.
And he's had 2 hits in the series, and they've both been infield hits to Derek Jeter. And he's got that great speed. It's a good pitch by Wang, but he just outruns the ball.
Runner goes. Pitch is low, no throw. Stolen base for Owens. Along with Joe Girardi and Paul O'Neill, I'm Michael Kay. You're watching Yankees baseball here on Yes. Bottom of the 6th inning. Game 3 of a 4-game set. Yankees lead the White Sox 4-1. Owens had 23 stolen bases and 30 attempts at AAA. There's a base hit to center field. Charging is Cabrera. Owens rounds third. They're waving him home. Here's the throw. Here's the play. He's out. Strong throw by Cabrera and a curious send by Razor Shines. The ball was in Melky's glove, and Owens was just touching third.
I think what you think about is, if your Razor Shines, is you think of the speed of Jerry Owens. But what makes this play work is how hard Melky Cabrera charged this ball. He got to it very quickly. He did not lay back, and he made a perfect, strong throw. And if you're the White Sox, you know, it's a tough call. And you got to let Jim Thome hit in this situation. And I think for a third base coach, a lot of times it's hard because you have to read the base runners. And he's a new base runner. You haven't seen him in this situation a lot, and he didn't get a great jump from second, and it might have been the reason he was out.
There's Jim Thome.
You know, coaches make mistakes just like players do. And over the course of the year, you're going to have this once in a while. This is just flat out, if you ask Razor Shines, this is a mistake. I mean, when you're down 4-1 in a game, you don't take a chance with Jim Thome coming to the plate.
And he was out because he did not get a big secondary lead, and he froze a little bit when that ball was hit. He thought Chien-Ming Wang might have caught it, and that's why he was out.
And also, that play is made because Melky Cabrera has a strong arm, and he's playing center. The plate blocked there by Posada and the good tag. If Damon's out in center, he's probably safe. Damon does not make that throw all the way home, especially with that mustard on it. So an added dimension with Melky out there. Count 2-0.
He froze just for a second. And the other thing is, Melky's legs are healthy, and he gets to the ball very quickly, and he makes a strong throw where Miguel Cairo can cut it if it's offline and possibly make the relay. or keep Iguchi from going to second base. So he did everything correctly.
Johnny Damon said the other day, he said it's fun to watch a guy with healthy legs and a cannon for an arm. He said he does things that right now I can't do. And he said, I've had experience in this before. He said, when I was in Kansas City, I moved to left field because a guy named Carlos Beltran got called up. He said, sometimes guys do better things than you. And he goes, and you have to be willing to move, anything to help the team. And Damon has been the DH, 3-0. There's a strike. Tomei with 480 home runs. Hit a 2-run shot in Monday's victory for the White Sox. Hey, Joe, if you're a manager and your third base coach made a blunder like that, do you address it right away when he goes in the dugout, or you rather not do it in front of players?
No, you usually don't do it in front of players. You talk to him at some point. And you know what? A lot of times you could address it when the club goes out. If it's a coach that's around you a lot, you just kind of whisper. What were you thinking? You don't want to take the aggressiveness away from your third base coach, because, as I said, third base coaches have to learn runners as well as runners have to learn coaches and situations. It's just not automatic, because Razor Shines hasn't coached Jerry Owens a lot.
Runner goes, 3-2 is sliced the other way.
I'll tell you what, we've seen some pretty hard balls sliced into the stands in these last two games.
Wind starting to whip up here in Chicago. Kind of blowing straight in. Runner goes, 3-2, soft ground ball to short right field. Cano is there, and that'll do it for the final out of the sixth. So a couple of wasted opportunities. And one of the reasons why is this throw by Melky Cabrera. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 1 man left. They send Owens, and he is out on the 8-2 put out. We go to the 7th, 4-1 Yanks. Hey, if you can catch it live, catch it later on WB Mason Presents Yankees Encore. It's a replay of every Yankees game that gives you a second chance to see all the excitement of Bombers baseball. WB Mason Presents Yankees Encore later after each game, and again the next morning at 9 only on Yes. Boone Logan, new pitcher for the White Sox. He will face Melky, lays down a bunt, and that one kicks foul.
Talk about the wind whipping up. I mean, they're talking about 40 to 50 mile an hour winds tomorrow. Talk about some excitement for some fly balls.
I think maybe you ought to make another trip to Butler National and see if you can keep it in the fairway.
See Boone Logan's numbers. A hit per inning, good strikeout to walk ratio. Hit sharply in the hole, backhanded by Uribe. He doesn't make the throw, which is smart. And as Cabrera picks up his second hit, he's starting to pick it up. He is now 11 for his last 26.
He's getting a lot of consistent at-bats now. And the weather is heated up. And, for Melky, I talked about it earlier in the season. It is tough for young players when they're not everyday players, because they're not used to not playing every day. Every step of the way for Melky Cabrera, he's played every day. Miguel Cairo has not. I mean, he is used to this role, and he's used to getting a few at-bats one day, a few at-bats another. For Melky, the consistent play is helping him.
After the game yesterday, Derek Jeter had a comment about Cairo, which really pertains to what you just said. He said, I don't understand how a guy never plays and can come into a game and get 2 hits. He said, if I take 1 game off, I feel lost the next game.
It's an art. It's an art to be a bench player.
Bunted foul.
And the thing about Miguel Cairo, I saw what he did in St. Louis. I had a chance to play with him when he was a bench player there. He was in the cage every day early. He was taking ground balls in every position. He would take fly balls. He was prepared to go into any situations. And guys like Eduardo Perez was one of his teammates, and they used to throw to each other. I mean, they took so much BP just to try to stay ready.
They have him picked off. Good move by Logan, and he's caught stealing 1, 3, 6. And the Yankees are having a very adventuresome night on the bases. And let's take a look at that low jack caught stealing.
Again, a lot of times when you are stealing off a lefty, you almost have to go on first move, and you don't want to do it, obviously, with no outs. But he gets caught here.
Obviously, that releases the bunt, and Cairo swings away and fouls it off. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Yankees. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the aforementioned New York Yankees. The 0-2. Fly ball right field. Jermaine Dye is there, and he'll put it away for the second out.
I think Ian has to be happy from what he saw in Boone Logan this year. He's a young 22-year-old left-hander out of their minor league system that throws a lot of strikes, and he has good velocity. He has a good breaking ball. And that's been one of the struggles for this club this year, has been their bullpen, but he's been one of the big bright spots for him. And I tell you, it's so hard to find left-handers today for the bullpen.
I was just going to say, he's left-handed, and I don't know why it is, but do you have any idea on that? Why it's so tough to find effective left-handers out of the bullpen?
I have no idea. I think it just goes in cycles. You know, it seemed like early in my career there were a lot of left-handers in the bullpen that had big curveballs and were real successful. And now it seems to be in a cycle where there's not a ton of left-handers.
Paul, did you get to face John Candelaria?
Oh, I faced him.
How tough was he?
You know, he was one of those guys that you really, if he made any kind of good pitch, you weren't going to get a hit.
No
you just
chance.
could not pick up the ball from him. I mean, he was 6'7", and he threw. I used to kid him all the time because Eddie Murray used to play first base for the Dodgers at the time, and it was like I had to pick up the ball coming from first base. I said I didn't know if you were throwing it or if Eddie Murray was throwing it because his wingspan was so tough, and it makes it very hard to pick up the ball, and obviously hitting is all seeing in baseball.
And he began his career as a starter, but hung on for a long time as a specialty lefty out of the bullpen. Pitched for the Yankees for a while.
Let me bring up another name. What about John Tudor?
I faced him. Now, when I faced him, as unorthodox as his delivery was, he had lost his velocity so much that you could wait and you had enough time to adjust. But early in his career, he was very tough on lefties.
Line drive to Josh Fields, and that will do it. No runs are hit, no errors because of the caught stealing. Nobody left on base at the end of 6 1/2. Time for the 7th inning stretch here in Chicago. 4-1 Yankees. Thank you, Bob. Mets really struggling with all their injuries and their offense trying to do too much. We saw the same thing with the Yankees. When people try to hit 5-run home runs, they get out of their game plan. 4-1 Yankees as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Here's Jermaine Dye against Chien-Ming Wang. And that just missed Dye. Count 1-0. Wang will throw a 72nd pitch, and it's a strike.
This is a big inning for Wang. I mean, you start working backwards now to Mariano Rivera, you know, for the 9th inning. It's a save situation right now, and these are some of the big hitters in the lineup. And then after you get through these 3, you get to the bottom of the lineup. So to me, this is just a huge inning to get through where you don't give any runs up.
Missed outside, 2-2. And the pitch. Grounded to A-Rod. And there's one away.
It's one of those nights if you're like one of the corner outfielders like Abreu or Matsui, and I used to feel this way a lot when Impeded was throwing. It's like, why even go out to your position? You're not going to get any balls. They're all ground balls. Once in a while, they'll center one to center field. But the corner outfielders, it's a good night to work on your hitting.
Well, that's what I was just getting ready to say. You probably took a lot of swings out in the outfield those nights.
Popped up. Cano. 2 away. You ever talk with the bleacher creatures out there on a night like that?
You know, you always had them in your ear. I mean, you could hear them. They'd come up with some stuff, too. By the way, are you still part of the roll call? Do they still do that?
They still do the roll call, but I've been eliminated.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Why?
because on TV, I've got the headset on. And radio, I didn't have it on.
See what happens?
I could hear them.
You blow them off one time, and they're never coming back.
So I couldn't hear when they said my name, and I didn't wave anymore, and that's it. I was persona non grata.
That's a shame.
I still love them.
Well, maybe some of them are listening tonight, and they'll start it back up.
I hope so. That was important to me.
It's funny. I mean, every once in a while, you'd be walking down the street, and somebody'd come up, and I'm one of the creatures. I'm one of the creatures. And it just rung a bell. You know what they were talking about. First guys to the ballpark, last ones to leave.
Count 1-1.
Where'd you used to see? You see it go when you're little, you said, right?
I always sat in the last row of the upper deck behind home plate. $1.50 seats.
And they wasn't packed back then either.
No, you could find a seat.
So why'd you sit in the last row?
Because I thought that was the greatest view, and I think it was like the last 3 rows behind, in the upper deck were $1.50 seats, general admission.
Kind of prepared you for this role, sitting behind home plate.
Same seat, just a little bit closer.
Same opinions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting paid to say. And occasionally I'd go on the bleachers as well.
Who was your favorite player back then?
Bobby Mercer.
Bobby Mercer.
Bobby Mercer. And Bobby's going to be with us this weekend for the Pittsburgh Pirates series. Strike 3, Konerko down looking. A nice 1-2-3 inning for Chien-Ming Wang. 11 pitches, 10 pitches for Wang as we go to the 8th inning. It's 4-1 Yankees. Hey fans, tonight and throughout the Yankee season on Yes, we're allowing you to vote along with your Yankee announcers, the 3 of us here in the booth, for the Chevrolet Player of the Game. Text your vote to 55222, or for more information, visit ChevyOffers.com. You can vote right up until the end of the game. Vote now and make your voice heard. Tonight's candidates are 1, Chien-Ming Wang, 2, Alex Rodriguez, 3, Johnny Damon, 4, Melky Cabrera. And standard text messaging rates apply. At this point, that doesn't seem like a tough choice.
I wouldn't think so.
But they got to give you 4 choices, that's why. Well, you never know. There's 2 more innings to go. Brett Prinz on in relief. He will face Jeter. Prinz got called up before yesterday's game as they kind of reconfigured the bullpen, which has been struggling so mightily. Yankees have a 4-1 lead here in the 8th. They want to keep it right there. Fouled away.
Oh.
Well, Wednesday used to always be Prince Spaghetti Day, so this is Prince Reliever Day this Wednesday.
It was?
Did they have that in Chicago?
No.
Oh, there used to be commercials in New York. Woman yelling out the window. It's Prince Spaghetti Day.
Look at the numbers of Brett Prinz in AAA. Wow. I mean, that's awesome.
Hey, we got Michael singing. It's getting real late.
Oh, Jeter goes up and in on Prince, or Prince goes up and in on Jeter. And the count 1-1. That was 2-1, that pitch.
It's the ball that just gets away from Brett Prinz. You see these Brzezinski set away. What happens so many times is you just overthrow a little bit and that left shoulder flies out a little bit, the front shoulder, and the ball's going to drift back into a right-handed hitter.
Paul, we always have to play mind reader whether a guy threw it something. Does a hitter know for sure when a pitcher's throwing at him?
usually have a decent indication. I mean, there's no reason for it. I mean, you have to kind of put the one and one together and figure out if there's any need for it. But especially when you bring a young kid in, I mean, they're usually scared to death anyway. They're happy to be here, and they're going to let one loose. And every once in a while, you can tell by his first pitch, he's got that natural movement. And it sets up that strike 3 slider, too, after you've seen one at your neck.
So there's one away.
Well, here's a situation we talked about, like Javier Vasquez. You miss by so much that this slider ends up inside, and he's trying to go away, similar to the fastball that got away. And that's all a mechanical thing. Maybe trying to do too much, trying to impress your manager too much. It's just finding a way to relax.
Time for the in-game box score, sponsored by Hummer. The Yankees have 8 hits, 2 by Damon and 2 by Melky Cabrera. You see the way the rest of them are distributed.
Yeah, it's funny, Mike, you asked that, and Joe, you touched on it last night. There's a lot of times you can tell by where the pitcher's looking.
Yes.
And there's nothing worse than being in that batter's box, and you see those eyes just start staring at your ribs in the middle of the, and you're just like, oh no, here we go.
Count 3-0 on Abreu. You know, Joe, with the wind whipping up, this is a good time to be O'Neill. He doesn't have to be bothered with these notes and stuff like that.
Right, they're just
you know,
all blowing
if you
away.
guys would get your paperwork, I got stuff on my feet and my head. I mean, there's stuff blowing all over the place up there.
He's got 1 sheet of paper in front of him, and he's been doodling on it, and could probably sell that on eBay right now.
I'm playing hangman over here by myself.
Driven out deep to left center field. Makoviak back, track, wall, see ya! A home run for Bobby Abreu as he goes the other way, and the Yankees lead 5-1.
You know what's so strange about these ballparks when they're like in this, I don't know what if you want to call it a U shape or whatever. The wind from the outfield sometimes looks like it's blowing in, and then it comes to home plate and it seems to swirl around, and you see this ball Bobby Abreu hit. We talked about it in the open that you're not going to keep him down forever. He's just too good of a hitter, and now that he's going the other way, he's going to get a lot of base hits, and he continues to drive the ball that way, and you're going to see good things.
It's funny how you get in a certain mindset in certain ballparks too, because we were here the last time we were here a week ago, and he started to turn around a little bit, and he started by driving a ball out to left center field. And it's weird, and you don't think of it until you get to the ballpark, even sometimes until you walk up to the plate. You start seeing hits that you've had in that ballpark before, and you start hitting the same way, and I think that's a lot to do with why you hit better in some ballparks. You just have the confidence, and you can visualize a lot of things you've done well in certain parks.
Well, that's his first home run since May 16th, which was right here. Alex Rodriguez squibs one to right field, so he picks up a base hit, and Abreu has to feel better about life these days. He's 1 for 3 tonight, and he is 10 for his last 21. And that has to make Joe Torre feel better as well. One thing that Torre kept working on with Abreu, don't feel that you're disappointing people. We know that you're working hard. Just do your job and don't put more pressure on yourself than you should have.
I think that's one of the things that makes Joe Torre such a great manager. I always said, you know, people would ask me about Joe Torre, and I would say, he has the ability to make you feel like everything is going to be all right as long as you're prepared and you do your work. Because there's going to be times that you struggle in the game. And Joe Torre is not a panic guy, and he doesn't want his players to panic, and they see his face. And Joe Torre has a way of instilling confidence in you even when you're struggling.
Posada with a blooper into center field. Uribe makes the play. A-Rod hustles back to first.
It was funny, Joe, talking on that subject. I remember one time going through a terrible slump and grabbing my bat and almost dragging it to the plate. And I was walking out of the dugout, and Joe called me over and he said, I just want you to know, I still think you might get a hit. And it, you know, it kind of broke the ice because sometimes you, like I said, you're like Linus from the Peanuts or something. You just drag your bag up to the plate. You have no chance of getting a hit. And when the manager says something like that, you feel like, you know, you're not being pressured to do things.
And I think players always appreciate it. Joe hasn't forgotten how hard it is to play this game.
No.
And what it's like to struggle in this game and how frustrating it can be. And he would relay, you know, to you at times that he struggled and things that he went through. Sometimes as a player, it made you feel better.
Matsui with a chopper to Iguchi. And that'll do it here in the 8th inning. But the Yankees get a run on 2 hits, no errors, and 1 man left. And the big blow off the bat of Bobby Abreu. A full count pitch from Brett Prinz. He took it the other way, just cleared the wall in left center. His 3rd home run of the year and a 5-1 Yankee lead. That man's on the mound. Well, not that man, but that's the shirt. Chien-Ming Wang still out there for the Yankees, and Rob McCoviac is at the plate. Pitch outside, 1-0. Along with Paul O'Neill and Joe Girardi, I'm Michael Kay. You're watching Yankees baseball right here on Yes. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning. It's been picture perfect for the Yankees. They lead 5-1.
You're amazing. Doesn't matter what we throw up there. You can, if I had a word to describe it, I'd say it, but you can do it.
Popped up. The second baseman Cano is there. And he puts it away. And Wang really is kind of making it look easy tonight.
Well, he's doing what he always does. He throws strikes. He's ahead in the count. He's got great movement on his fastball. He's mixed in his slider and his changeup. He's kept the hitters off balance.
Let's take a look at the White Sox in-game box score sponsored by Hummer. There's just 4 hits in there. The top 3 batters have a hit apiece, and then Rob McCoviac scored the only run with a single, went to second on a wild pitch, moved to third on a grounder to second, and then scored on a ground out. And Fields grounds one to Jeter. 83 pitches, 2 outs here in the 8th inning. Now, here's the question, Joe. Do you let him pitch tonight?
You let him go back out there, I think. You know, A, it's not a safe situation. B, Mariano Rivera pitched last night, and you may need him tomorrow. I think if it gets to a safe situation, you know, I think Joe would bring in Mariano, but if you don't have to use him, and this is what you want from your ace. You don't want your ace to use the bullpen. You want him to take control of the game, and it gives your bullpen a day off.
And that's something you never see. Uribe takes a strike. He's 0 for 2, grounded to short and a strikeout.
Uribe's flirted with that line a few times. He's hit some balls foul down the 3rd base line. You see Alex playing deep on Uribe to give himself, so he has a lot of range, but he's going to be swinging, and he's going to be aggressive on any fastball now.
And the pitch. There's a strike. So Uribe, although he's cutting and slashing, actually knew how quickly the first 2 batters went down, and he had a plan up there to take a couple of pitches. So that's good baseball. The 2-1. And that's probably tough for him because it goes against every single instinct that he has.
But you know what? Players sometimes have to do what's best for the team, and that's what he's done. Maybe he coaxes a walk, and you get a couple base hits in a row, and maybe you're able to knock him out because, you know, if you're the White Sox, Chien-Ming Wang faced you a couple weeks ago. He went 7 innings. He only gave up 1 run. He's been pretty dominating against your club, and you got to find a way to get him out of the game.
Grounder up the middle and through for a base hit. 5th base hit for the White Sox. A 2-out single here in the 8th inning. And all 5 hits for the White Sox have been singles.
Kid Joe, you've talked about it. A lot of the hits that Wang gives up throughout the year are just ground balls that find holes. And usually when sinker ball pitchers get in trouble, it's not always because they don't have great stuff. It's just because they get seeing eye hits.
White Sox had 10 hits last night. They have 5 hits tonight. All 15 hits the White Sox have had in these 2 games, the last 2 games, have been singles. Here's Jerry Owens. He had one of those singles, an infield single. And there's a line drive to Jeter. That'll do it here in the 8th inning. So Owens hit it hard, but Jeter was right there. No runs a hit, no errors, and 1 man left. And again, the Yankees, they're painting a nice picture as we head to the 9th inning. It's 5-1. Well, we go to the 9th inning here at U.S. Cellular Field on the south side of Chicago. 5-10-0 for the Yankees, 1-5-0 for the White Sox. Chien-Ming Wang has really pitched a very nice ball game. Gave up a run in the 3rd inning. That's it. He's allowed 5 hits over 8. There is no action in the Yankee bullpen. He's thrown 88 pitches, and he is poised to try for a complete game. Nick Massett takes over for the White Sox. 4th pitcher. Grounded to first. Konerko is there, and there's 1 away. So Cano tonight is 0 for 4. He had come into the game 11 for his last 21.
It's crazy. I'm over here thinking, you said on the south side of Chicago, all of a sudden these songs start going through. That was a song.
Bad Leroy Brown.
Oh, back the night Chicago died or something like that. Remember? Back in the bad old days. Or something? Yeah. See that?
Paper Lace.
Oh, wow, that is impressive. Kevin Schmolen must have said that in your ear.
No,
you had no chance.
The pitch to Cabrera is a strike. Kevin Schmolen. The 0-1.
I stuttered when I said that too.
No, that was perfect. There was an H in there that wasn't needed, but it was good. That might be his new name, right, Joe?
No wonder to see my hangman game. I had an extra letter over here.
I'm just wondering how you play hangman without a pen.
You keep your stuff in your head.
One away here in the 9th inning. The Yankees looking for their 2nd win in a row. In Oakland, top of the 3rd inning, Boston and the A's are scoreless. The Red Sox have lost 3 in a row. And if you look at the Red Sox schedule, it starts to get a little dicey now. They've got some trips. They play some tough teams. Are on the West Coast right now. Maybe it's the time now. You could put together a little of a winning streak. You could shave some off that lead. There's a strike. And the count is full at 3-2.
I've always been amazed how feeling about a ball club can change so much in a week. It is absolutely amazing.
I mean, in one series, it's just, it really is.
Adam played perfectly. And there's 2 away. Hey, if you can't catch it live, catch it later on WB Mason Presents Yankees Encore. It's a replay of every Yankees game that gives you a second chance to see all the excitement of Bombers baseball. WB Mason Presents Yankees Encore later after each game, and again the next morning at 9, only on Yes. And Paul's right, it's almost within a series. Did anybody involved with the Yankees feel good after Monday? They looked awful.
Right? No, they just, they didn't hit the ball. Garland did a good job. He got 3 double play balls, and it gives you an idea what players go through on a daily basis, because they can go from that feeling from an at-bat to an at-bat, day to day. Sure. It doesn't have to be from week to week. There's a lot of ups and downs in this game, and you have to try to stay in that even keel and just keep grinding it out.
That's why I think 4-game series are so tough too. Because I mean, if this is a typical 3-game series, you win tonight, you jump on a plane, you feel great about winning the series, and you go on to the next city. Now, by 4 games, I mean, you face Contreras tomorrow, who's arguably their best pitcher, and you have a tough time still not splitting the series.
Well, Cairo picks up his 2nd base hit of the night, 2 nights in a row with 2 hits. Good chance he'll be in the lineup again tomorrow.
Joe is going to stick with, especially if they continue to win, he's going to stay with the same lineup. And he's not going to mess with anything. And you just try to catch some kind of feeling where guys go out and win.
And you do that when you don't have an everyday positional player at that position. He's swinging the bat well. He's playing good defense. I mean, if you have an everyday first baseman, Miguel Cairo might spell that guy for a day. But here's a situation where I think he's going to try to run early in the count.
Cairo runs early in the count, and he makes it. Ball goes into center field, but Cairo will stay right there. So 2nd stolen base of the night for Cairo. And they like to run on Przinsky.
Big high leg kick. And again, I mean, Przinsky doesn't have much of a chance here. And if you look at some of the pitchers that are on his staff, Contreras with the forkball and things like that, a lot of times, the majority of the time, Joe, I mean, guys are stealing on the pitcher, not the catcher.
Absolutely. And you don't have to have the greatest arm as a catcher to throw runners out. You have to have some help from your pitchers. And to me, you have to have quick feet. You have to have that quick release. I mean, if you're going to be a good thrower, yes, a great arm helps. But if you have a quick release and you're accurate, you're going to throw base runners out if your pitchers help you.
There's Damon.
And a guy that really comes to mind for me when I talk about that quick release and that can be accurate is Paul LaDuca. Paul LaDuca gets rid of it very quickly. Doesn't have a lot of arm strength, but because of his quickness in his feet and his hands, he's able to throw some base runners out.
That one's tapped back to Massett. Damon is out, so he is 2 for 5 on the night. And we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Last licks coming up for the Chicago White Sox. 88 pitches in the arm of Chien-Ming Wang. More to come. Countrymen rooting him on. He's thrown 88 pitches over 8 innings. And he's leading 5-1. Now, the last complete game the Yankees had, Randy Johnson threw it in August. That was a loss. The last complete game win that the Yankees had was on July 28th of last year, Chien-Ming Wang against Tampa Bay. And he'll face Iguchi, Tomei, and Dye. Kind of an overrated stat. Really doesn't mean much in this day and age, although it does give your bullpen a night off. But
I think it's really important. I think complete games are huge because it's usually a fairly dominating performance. It's usually a win. And like you said, Michael, it gives your bullpen a day off. And in the American League, that's important because bullpens are used a lot because of the approach of American League hitters. They seem to be longer at bats. They're not quite as aggressive on the first pitch, and pitchers throw a lot of pitches early in the game, and you don't want to wear out a bullpen.
But you see some teams that win World Series, and they never get complete games. I mean, the Cardinals won a World Series, and I mean, Tony La Russa doesn't believe in complete games.
Well, I mean, they had Carpenter that would give your bullpen a night off every once in a while, or at least 7 or 8 innings, and that's the important thing. You got to get length out of a couple of your starters, so your bullpen's not in there every night. Fly ball. Abreu makes the call and the catch, 1 away. Because obviously, if you're a good team, the back end of the bullpen is going to be used a lot. And if you're using them every day because you're not getting a lot of length out of your starters, it can become a problem as the season goes on.
Now, why is Rivera throwing?
Well, he's just getting up, tossing easily. You know, you like to play catch every day, but he's tossing easy just in case Chien-Ming Wang gets in trouble here because Joe doesn't want it to be a surprise. I mean, he's playing light catch. He's walking around, he's moving around, he's getting loose just in case he needs to be called upon during this game.
So just those throws, that's not firing him up?
No, but it allows him to make maybe 10, 12 pitches, 14, and he'd be ready.
Pitch to Tomei is a strike. Yankees have 3 infielders on the right side. A-Rod playing his old position, shortstop. Tomei's 1 for 3.
Paul's getting a little bit upset about the papers that are blowing out.
Well, you stick around for the post game. We might have Toto for it's over with. The wind blowing all over the place.
Popped up. Third base side and out of play.
I think that's coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now you mean Toto the dog, not the band, right?
Yeah.
You ever seen a tornado?
I grew up in Ohio, man. Yeah, we have tornadoes.
Well, I didn't ask you, you know, if you had them. I asked
you ever watch the Weather Channel? We got them on there all the time.
No, I'm talking about in person.
No. No.
The 0-2. 1 and 2. I'm hoping we don't see one now. And the 1-2. 2 and 2.
I've always been impressed on Jim Thoma's approach. He can swing hard.
Yeah.
And the fact that he can take borderline pitches, you know, that ball's low. His eye is so good. He's walked over 1,400 times. I'm absolutely amazed.
He looks like his swing is a dead pull hitter, but he'll drive the ball to left field. That's what surprised me a lot.
Hit sharply to short right field. Cano. There's 2 away. White Sox down to their final out.
You know, that almost seems unfair in the sense that you can play that deep. And it's an easy out.
It just doesn't run that well.
No.
Probably could play a little deeper.
Yeah.
So 98 pitches for Chien-Ming Wang as he steps in against Jermaine Dye. Dye is 0 for 3. Fouled the first, 2 ground balls to third. And a strike. He really has pitched a marvelous ball game.
He's a great pitcher to give a lead too. I mean, if you get him runs early in the game, he's so good at just throwing strikes and just keeping the ball in play, keeping the fielders on their toes. And that's why, I mean, he gets more confident every time out there. I mean, he's got his good stuff. He knows he's capable of just shutting teams down.
And I think he frustrates hitters because when you look at it, you say, you know what? We're not striking out. We're not swinging and missing. We're just making outs. And you don't feel like you're overpowered or you're overmatched, but he just gets outs.
Right. He's not a guy that you would see in a scouting report and think, oh man, this is going to be tough. But at the end of the night, you might hit a couple balls hard, but you're 0 for 4 with 4 ground balls.
Count 2-1. Well, he's got 26 outs so far. 15 have come on the ground. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Yankees leading 5-1. This will be pitch number 102. And it's foul back now. The White Sox down to their final strike. And Chien-Ming Wang delivers the 2-2. And the count goes full at 3-2. Yankees trying for their 2nd straight win. A win tonight would ensure them of at least a split of the 4-game set. Przinsky awaits on deck. A win tonight also gives them a chance to win the series. Tomorrow it's Messina against Contreras, but still 1 out to go. And the 3-2. Dye stays alive. And that's somewhat
I was
contrary.
just thinking about that, yes.
Wang never betrays much emotion with his face. The 3-2. High fly ball, center field. This should do it. Cabrera is there, and he'll put it away for the final out of the inning, the final out of the game, and a 5-1 Yankee victory. The 3rd complete game of Chien-Ming Wang's career, and he did it with 105 pitches. 104, check that. I gave him 1 too many on my count. So 5 hits, just 1 run, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. And if you could be dominant, guys, without striking people out, that's what he was tonight.
Absolutely, and he does it, like you said, with all the ground ball outs that he gets, and he stays down in the zone. He can expand the zone a little bit with his slider, and every once in a while he'll go up in the zone. But, you know, we were talking about, it's not an uncomfortable at bat, but you just don't get hits because of that late movement.
And the big inning for the Yankees in the 3rd. Paul said it's important to get him runs early. Yankees scored 4 runs in the 3rd inning, and he held on. He gave up a run in the bottom of that inning, an ABC run, and that was it, as the Yankees beat the White Sox 5-1 to win their 2nd in a row. So let's get it down to the field now. Our Kim Jones is standing by with the home run hitter, Bobby Abreu. Kim?
Thank you, Michael. Bobby, do you know your swings back when you hit a home run the opposite way?
Yeah, I mean, I feel a lot better on the plate right now. Been hitting the ball most of the time to the other way. I hit it hard, so that's one of the things that gave me back, and it made me feel so comfortable on the plate.
Batting .500 over the last week. What has made the difference?
That's good. I mean, I think, well, the difference is like one of the things that I've been saying, you know, hit the ball to the other way, don't try to pull the ball, just to see a lot of pitches, hit it hard to the middle and the other way. So that's why one of the things that I've been working on, and it worked so far.
And was it a psychological boost when Joe moved you back to that 3 spot?
That's good. That's good, you know, to get back to the 3rd spot. I mean, as I was, you know, being around 7, a lead off, 8, but he saw me that I feel a lot better right now on the play, so he moved me back to the 3rd spot and made me feel good.
Finally, you spend most of the night when Wang pitches watching. What was it like to watch his performance tonight?
That's good. That's good. You know, that kid's got such a good arms. He knows how to pitch. He always move the ball around. So seeing him pitch, you know, and play different for him, I mean, it's one of the things that guarantee you the game, especially when you get a couple runs, you know, he feel more comfortable in the play. He just go for it.
Thank you, Bobby. And he finally got a fly ball in the 9th. Michael?
Thanks a lot, Kim. So Bobby Abreu continues his hot hitting. He was 1 for 3 tonight, and he is 10 for his last 21. The Yankees have won 2 in a row, and they win this one 5-1. So smiles all around for the Yankees, and now they'll wait to see how Boston does in Oakland if they shaved another game off the lead. The awards are next.